Chaotic college football weekend. Our Final Four is set at last. Number 1, Alabama gets number 4, Cincinnati. Number 2, Michigan. And number 3, Georgia, the Final Four in college football in 2021. Alabama gets their 6th SEC championship under head coach Nick Saban over the weekend, a 41-24 win over the Georgia Bulldogs. After being an underdog for the first time in 93 games, the Crimson Tide open as a 2-touchdown favorite against Cincinnati in the semifinals. Here in Nashville, the Tennessee Volunteers will get their first bowl game under head coach Josh Heupel in the TransPerfect Music City Bowl, facing the 8-4 Purdue Boilermakers. It's the third time in 12 years that the Vols have played on the Music City Bowl, as they lost to North Carolina in 2010 and beat Nebraska in 2016. It'll be Purdue's first visit to the bowl game since 2018, a 63-14 loss to Auburn. Oklahoma hires its next head coach, officially announcing that Clemson assistant Brent Venables is its new head man last night. Venables spent 10 seasons at Clemson after 13, including a long run as the defensive coordinator for the Sooners. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
What's happening? Welcome in. JMart Ramon, 104.5 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. When trust matters, count on All Four Seasons Garage Doors in Nashville. Professional garage door installation and repair from locally owned and family-run business. Visit allfourseasonsgarages.com. It kind of sucks outside. It's not going to last. That's the thankful thing. If you're not in it, you might actually not have to deal with it, but the drive-in, not a lot of fun. Ramon Foster is still out in it because Trinity, right around 65, they're in that split that is always, at times, for years when I was commuting from Bowling Green, I ran into that problem. It was shut down, so Ramon is still on the drive-in right now. No truth to the rumor that my T-shirt on Friday scared him so badly he just couldn't make it into the studio. Cloffin's got beat on Saturday night, though. Kenny Pickett might actually get invited to New York, which is kind of stunning considering that if Tennessee had played Hendon Hooker, they might have beaten Pittsburgh, and we wouldn't have even seen that game because who knows what their season would have looked like if Tennessee had beaten them in the second week of the season. But another full slate of NFL action yesterday. A ton of college football that we're certainly going to talk about. Oklahoma's got its guys. Brent Venables, Chris Plank told us that like a week ago. And then we started seeing other names. I got asked a few times Friday and Saturday who I thought was going to get the job. I said, I have no reason to dispute Chris Plank. He works for the Sooner Radio Network. If he says that deal's almost done and that's who it's going to be, I'm going to stick with that. Good play by me on that. Good play by Moan. Good play by Shafe, because we all kind of, once we heard that, we said, yeah, it's probably going to be that guy. And that is indeed who it is. But what we saw yesterday was the same thing we've seen all year in the NFL. And what that basically is there's just a bunch of teams that are out there. From week to week, we don't know who's going to win and we don't know who's going to lose. But we're starting to separate the wheat from the chaff a little bit. My Broncos last night could barely muster any points against Kansas City's defense, which does look a little bit better, certainly than it did even a couple of weeks ago, and a lot better than it did from the beginning of the season to now. The Chiefs are 8-4. Don't look now. They've won 5 in a row, and they're becoming the very definition of the team you don't want to see. And I saw a great tweet from Kevin Clark of The Ringer on Saturday, right after Alabama beat Georgia in the SEC championship game, which we're going to talk a lot about on this show today. And it said, that feeling you have about Alabama, that's them again. That feeling you have about Alabama, prepare to feel that way about the Kansas City Chiefs in January. Meaning They are who we thought they were at the beginning of the year before we saw them play when we thought they were going to be a juggernaut. Alabama is still flawed, in my opinion. But Georgia is still Georgia. And I'd rather be flawed than be Georgia. At least in this recent handful of years under Kirby Smart. I made the comparison Saturday night. Nick Saban is Logan Roy from Succession. Everybody else is trying to take Nick Saban down in the SEC, but it's still Nick. Doesn't mean he didn't have a couple of down moments. Doesn't mean that, Stewie and company are going to buy it out from underneath him potentially. Doesn't mean he doesn't have people that are trying to take it that used to be on his staff. Kendall, his son in Succession, we can go ahead and say that's Kirby Smart. But every time he comes at the king, something goes wrong. And the great quote from the end of season 2 of Succession was, "You're not a killer. You got to be a killer." When his son asked him, "Hey, did you think that I could do it? Did you really think that I could be you if you step down?" He said, "You're not a killer. You got to be a killer." Kirby Smart, not a killer. Doesn't mean they can't win the national championship this year because they've got an opportunity as the number 3 seed in the college football playoff. But it does mean that Kirby Smart is still Kirby Smart because of one gigantic decision that I will second guess until the end of time because he gave me no reason not to. But yesterday in the NFL, the Chiefs won, and then if you start to look around the rest of the AFC, what did Moan say? And I backed him up and agreed with him 100% about the Cincinnati Bengals. When they start to win, every time you start to feel good about them, they lay an egg. That's why I predicted that the Chargers were going to win that game because I still don't fully buy into them as a consistent winner. That's a 7-5 team is Cincinnati, but this is twice now. When they've come off a great performance and had people talking about them, they've laid an egg. They at least tried to fight back into that game, but you looked up, and before you could blink, it was 24-6 Chargers. Now, the Chargers were desperate because if they had lost, I think their season might have been over last night. They're now 7-5, but that was a big-time win, 41-22 for them. As Moan sends me a text and says, "I'm close," and people are accusing him of loafing on the YouTube chat right now. But if you look at that, as Moan is now walking into the studio, so that's good. First off, it's good that he's safe because that was not a fun drive. Like I said, a lot of you are going to be able to dodge that on the way in. The Dolphins started what, 1-6, 1-7, and now they've won 5 in a row, and they're 6-7. Now they beat a Giants team that's no good at all, 20-9. But I'm just looking at the AFC and trying to make heads or tails of any of it. The Raiders are 6-6. Their season's over. We can start to knock some teams off. It doesn't mean that six losses means your season over. It means 6 losses when you got 5 to play means the season's over because what about what you've done makes me think you're going to go on a 5-game run or even go 4-1 in your last 5 to get to a spot where you're a 7-loss team at the end of the season. It's consistency that stands out. The Ravens, I'm so glad the Baltimore Ravens lost yesterday because I think they're frauds. I think they continue to be exposed as frauds. They were 8-3, but were they really? Justin Tucker maybe shouldn't have even gotten a chance to kick that field goal against the Lions. Lamar Jackson won a game against the Browns where he threw 4 interceptions last Sunday Night Football. They've been ravaged with injuries. I'm not saying they don't have excuses. Of course, nobody has more excuses than the team that plays right here in Nashville. But Baltimore's not very good. They're just not. They don't score a lot of points. They've put a lot on Lamar, and he hasn't really lived up to it, at least being able to throw the ball. He doesn't have a lot to throw to. Mark Andrews almost caught the 2-point conversion, but really, that wasn't a great throw. A little bit too far outside, and that was John Harbaugh trying to win a game when if he felt good about his offense, you might as well just go ahead and take it into overtime because, were the Steelers going to go tit for tat? Were you worried about them scoring, as Ramon, I think, is now able to speak?
Whew. Hey.
Yeah, that sucked.
Y'all be careful.
Yeah, well, it's about to be over.
I know, but still,
Thankfully.
goodness. It's, that was a little sketchy. And I get out early enough in the morning. I hate these early mornings. I heard you talking about it. That split, that 65-40 split.
It's been trash as long as I've been driving it.
God. And that Trinity merge, too. That Trinity merge right there, it looked like it may have been 4 cars. I don't think anybody was seriously hurt, at least I hope not anyway. But y'all still be careful even with this storm moving out.
Yeah.
But
Hopefully, a lot of you are not going to have to deal with basically no visibility for the last about 2 or 3 miles of my drive in. But we're here. Maybe leave a couple minutes earlier. There could be a little bit of flash flooding out there as well. I got water in my shoes walking from the car to the building, and it's not that long of a walk.
No.
So that's where we are. But yeah, Moan, I was saying this. I just think looking at the AFC, looking at the NFC somehow is worse than the AFC. You actually look at the records, you got teams that have 4 wins that are still, quote, in the hunt. Unquote. How is that even possible in week 13?
I have no idea. I think I saw somebody else. Of course, it's social media and internet. It's like technically, Detroit's not out of it, and I know it's a long way for them to go. Like you said, it's not. But like you said, the NFC is the Wild Wild West. A couple of Hall of Fame quarterbacks retire, and this is what we're left with. Like, I think the biggest part of it all is the instability of what New Orleans is.
Mm-hmm.
Watching what Tampa, they've dropped a couple games. They shouldn't have. Washington's on a 4-game win streak. The Cowboys continue to do cowboy-like things. Like, what are we doing here, you know? So we'll see how that continues to run itself through. Again, Detroit with their first.
Got it on the last play of the game.
Against a contender. Quotation marks.
Threw it to Amon St. Brown with no time left, basically, and won the game.
Mm-hmm.
And that was it for the Vikings season. Now they're 5-7. You can go ahead and write them off.
Yeah.
But everything that I saw yesterday just told me, my gosh, is the playoffs going to be either fun and or horrifyingly dramatic, even if it's mediocre, because there's almost nobody to buy into. I buy into Arizona. You have to at this point. They're the only 2-loss team in the league. Kyler came back. He didn't even throw for many yards because they didn't have to because the Bears kept turning the football over.
But it showed you what they can do at the beginning of the game, though. First touchdown was him and Nook.
Yeah, it's just, I mean.
You know what I'm saying?
They won multiple games with Colt McCoy starting at quarterback, which is stunning.
I know.
In retrospect.
It's but this playoff scenario this year kind of reminds me of what the NBA was. When you have a team like Milwaukee win, Jay. And I know Milwaukee's a strong team. 2 all-stars on that team, 2 all-NBA players on that team with a good balance from last year also. But then you have a team like that win what is a non-traditional almost, non-popular team win it. I don't know if this is going to be the year, but heck, Arizona might have a shot, to your point.
Oh, they might. They definitely might. Green Bay didn't play, but Green Bay is the team that you can still believe in. Tampa Bay, Tom Brady looked like he had 3 touchdowns before the end of the first quarter yesterday against Arizona. They're certainly in the mix. But if you look at the AFC, and that's where we're going to go after the break, and we're going to talk a lot of college on this show because after that SEC title game, we have to. Because I got to call Kirby Smart out.
You going to do it?
I don't know how you can't.
I'm riding with you.
I don't know how you can't.
Can I ride shotgun?
Yeah, absolutely. And maybe we'll even do that. But the Titans, I still don't believe they can win a Super Bowl if Derrick Henry doesn't come back. But this year, I don't know who, if you say they're going to win a Super Bowl, I would even tell you out of the AFC because I think you're going to see 2 teams tonight where we're going to watch every down of that game because we need to watch every down of that game because we're going to see 2 teams that are jockeying for position towards the top of the AFC. But the other team, the team that was the number 1 seed yesterday, I think they're frauds, and that's Baltimore. Every time you believe in Cincy, they let you down. The Chargers won, but who cares? Tennessee is in position, and they've got Jacksonville, who's just dreadful.
37 gave up 37 points yesterday.
Just terrible.
Oh, my gosh.
And the Colts are playing great football, and it's not going to matter because they lost too much on the way in. 615-737-1045. 737-1045. That is the telephone number for the program today. Jonathan Schaefer, of course, is doing his civic duty again for the final time for the first 4 days of this week. So we got Andrew Malone in until Friday when Schaefer is back. But what stood out to you from yesterday's action? And we're going to get into Kirby Smart when we get back because his last name might be Smart, but he did something that seemed really butt stupid to me on Saturday. We'll be right back. It's JMart Ramon, 104.5 The Zone.
Mortgage interest rates are still sitting at an all-time low level, but they are starting to tick up. So if you have been on the fence about getting your house refied, or if you hadn't gotten your pre-approved home loan locked in, now is the time. Quit waiting for a lower rate because it won't stick around for much longer. Right now, the interest rates are still sitting in the low 2%, which means by refinancing your 30-year mortgage, the home loan expert can save you hundreds of dollars a month. And this past year has been tough. We all have just been battling. I mean, we are battle tested. And I'm here to tell you, your home is your biggest asset, though. And with the home equity so high right now, it's the perfect time to do a cash out refi. They can lower your monthly payments, give you cash to pay off debt, and have you skip a few mortgage payments. Now, that's how you finish 2021 during this holiday season with a little less worry. So if you've been sitting at home for months, you can tell the homes in our area are selling fast. So getting pre-approved is key to finding your dream home. At thehomeloanexpert.com, they can lock in your interest rate, project your payments, and get you pre-qualified. So when you find that right home, you can submit that offer and close on your dream home. TheHomeLoanExpert.com are doing more home loans than ever and are closing purchases in less than 30 days. So don't wait. Visit TheHomeLoanExpert.com.
What's happening? Welcome back, JMart Ramon, 104.5 The Zone. Tomorrow we'll be at Nissan Stadium. Hopefully it'll be drier. It will be a little colder, but we're building a field of toys to benefit the Salvation Army's Forgotten Angels Toy Field, presented by T-Mobile. While you're out doing your holiday shopping, remember those in need this holiday season. Pick up a gift for a senior or a toy. Help us build a field of toys at Toy Field on Tuesday, December the 7th. All the info you need, 1045thezone.com. Everybody will be broadcasting live. 3HL will be at B-Dubs in Franklin, but secondary drop-off spot for toys. So let's go make some people's Christmas a little bit better this year.
And you know what? Just to push more into that for tomorrow. You don't know how many people I've met that's played in the NFL, or just people I've met around friends of mine that was just like, I was one of those kids that receive toys from the Titans or some community. Like, there's more people without than you know. So if you do have time and opportunity to drop something off at Nissan, cool little toy or two or gadget, bring it by. You never know who you're gonna be gifting something to. So that's real cool.
615-737-1045. Your reaction to the football weekend, you can take it wherever you would like. You can certainly talk about it from a Titans perspective, even though they were on a bye. I think if you watched the AFC yesterday once again, you're just like, well, we got as good a shot as just about anybody else, because who in the world do you really believe in? The one team that does look to be getting right is Kansas City.
Yeah.
They played a good defense last night, and Denver could not move the ball. They would get it close, but boy, you talk about bend but don't break. Chris Jones back in his spot in the tackle role has made a tremendous difference for that team, but they're a little bit better on the back end. They were covering really good wide receivers last night for Denver and doing a good job. Don't look now, but the two hottest teams in the AFC are the New England Patriots and the Kansas City Chiefs.
Is Tom Brady still in New England?
Right.
No.
I'm going to take this call knowing where it's going. John in the borough is up. John, what's up?
What's up, John?
Man, I got to talk about the claw fist.
Yeah.
So, first of all, I'm a really big Vols fan, but I separate my hatred for Clawson this season because Wake Forest has been making me a lot of money. And I've been betting Wake Forest and the over all year. And then Saturday was just the worst of the absolute worst. I had 3 different parlays that it ended up costing me a total of $2,500 on the over and Wake Forest covering.
Yeah.
And they scored 35 points in that game with 6 minutes to go in the first quarter.
Mm-hmm.
And they couldn't hit 38 more points in the other 3.5 quarters. Like, I don't know. And, like, Clawson, I get what you're saying. Like, all us Vols fans know what he is. And I'm convinced that they just must have the best offensive coordinator ever. And I understand he might be calling his own plays there, but he couldn't have changed that much. That's all I had to say. Big fan of yours, Ramon.
Appreciate it, Joe. Appreciate you
John,
calling in to us, John.
So I will say this. Obviously, Sam Hartman, he came out and talked about his mental health and all of that, and Clawson backed him, and Clawson gave him a good platform. Like, it's obvious, and you've separated this before, too. Clawson's a good dude. It's real obvious that he is. Yeah. What he told Sam Hartman after the pick 6 on Saturday was just total class. To say that to a guy in that moment, he said, quote, "This does not take away from the season you've had. It's not deja vu all over again. You're a big reason we're here. That's not why we lost. Pitt outplayed us."
Yeah.
I love the fact that he's anti-Dan Mullen when it comes to, I'm not going to make excuses. They just beat us.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to place it on you and all this kind of other kind of things like this. And then when he was asked about, 4 interceptions, he said to the press afterwards, Clawson did, "Look at the year he had. Sometimes when you fall behind, you force things. You can't take away from the year he had. I'm confident he's going to bounce back." Very opposite of whatever Penny Hardaway was saying on Saturday.
Oh, my God.
Whatever he was saying over the weekend. But
do we want to get into Penny later?
We're definitely getting into Penny later. We're definitely going to get into Penny later.
It's Tennessee. It's Memphis.
Yeah. We'll stay in college. Pneumonia's still kind of
Still trying to uppercut you over here, man. Come on, man.
All right, so
Beat your chest like Leo did.
I don't know how to say this other than to say it. Kirby Smart is an immature head football coach. And this is why. Because coaches have to make big boy decisions and put on big boy pants and do tough things, business things for their football team.
Yeah.
I was standing on the sidelines in the national championship game when a two-year quarterback, Jalen Hurts, who did everything right, who Nick loved, went to the bench against Georgia because he couldn't get it done that day. Tua Tagovailoa came in. We all know how that ended. History was made.
And Jalen was stagnant that day.
And Jalen just couldn't get it done that day.
It wasn't his day, man.
Couldn't get it done. The year before, against Clemson, Jalen Hurts lost to Deshaun Watson and played his guts out. But Jalen, the only two games he lost were to Deshaun Watson, and he lost, I think, a conference title game or something like that. Still made the move. Kelly Bryant looked like he was going to be a, day one draft pick out of Clemson. But Dabo Swinney looked around and he saw this freshman by the name of Trevor Lawrence, and he said, we got to get him in.
Yeah.
And he knew what was going to happen. Kelly Bryant was going to transfer, and he did. He went to Missouri and went elsewhere.
You remember how, Kelly Bryant had a lot of, momentum.
But it was obvious when you saw Trevor Lawrence who was better.
That's true, too. Hard decision.
Oklahoma this past season. Spencer Rattler, 5 stars, all over. He's the guy. He's going to be a top 5 draft pick. He's going to be the guy.
Netflix, all that.
He's going to be the guy. But Caleb Williams was better. And in the rivalry game of all rivalry games for Oklahoma, Spencer Rattler got benched. Caleb Williams came in, led them to a comeback. Despite the fact that Oklahoma's not in the college football playoff, it ain't because of Caleb Williams. He almost won Bedlam. He almost came back and won against Oklahoma State last week. I bring these 3 up to say this. I'm not blind. I saw Stetson Bennett play football last season for Georgia. And in big games, I saw him falter. I saw him be a jag. Not that he was a scrub, but he was a jag. He was just a guy. You cannot watch the first half of that football game and not see that the difference in the game, Georgia's defense was struggling a little bit. They were struggling because Bryce Young was a quarterback on one of those teams, and you had Stetson Bennett out there if you're Georgia. In the second half, unless he was hurt, there's no excuse not to go to JT Daniels. I thought he should have been the quarterback throughout much of this season because I saw his act at USC before he got injured, and I thought for sure he was going to be the starter, and it just kept on being Bennett. And I was trying to figure out, Moan, why? Why is it Stetson Bennett? And then I realized it. Kirby Smart was hiding his quarterback because he never needed very much from his quarterback. He could run the ball, but mainly he beat people turning them over defensively. What's Kirby Smart known as? A defensive guy. So he looked at his defense with pride, and he literally tried to hide his quarterback in a corner. And when it came down to, can Stetson Bennett win this game for us, he threw a pick 6.
Yes, he did. But Jay, this is also what we saw from Kirby as far as trying to get another win. And I think Clemson at the beginning of the year was really good. I think they got broken by that Georgia defense. Had Georgia not gotten that pick 6 in that game, they might still be playing to this day, Jay. Just simply because they couldn't put up any points. And that was my thing when it came down to, you remember that was one thing. Like, we may have sound foolish by saying, look, Tennessee versus Georgia, but Georgia always do Georgia-like things.
That's right.
And and what does that mean? It's almost like you can't explain it unless you've watched Georgia. Unless you've watched Georgia. We have always, whether good years, mediocre years, or bad years, competed with them. And I said this, and it's exactly what Alabama had. I said, look, if we can score with them, we can beat them. That defense that they have is real good. But one thing that we don't have that Alabama has and is known, they got a little bit more Jimmy and Joes. They got a few more stars than they do. So if you compete well with a team like that, then you can smack them. Yes, Kentucky was a high-ranked team against Georgia, but Kentucky recruits compared to Georgia's,
Not close.
still not close. Now, you look at their schedule of people they play. Yeah, we put 17 points on them. That's the most anybody's ever put up on them. But across the board, they were the better team, except for, let's say, Clemson. They won that one 10-3 off of a defensive touchdown. And then let's fast forward all the way to the Alabama game. Alabama has a really good coach.
Mm-hmm.
Alabama has really good prospects. Their defense, although not historically what Alabama's known for, they still are good.
Well, they got Will Anderson, who might be the player of the year, might be the best player in the country at linebacker. To'o. I know his name should.
But you got to give it to him.
I know he's Voldemort in these parts, but Henry To'o led the team in tackles and was an absolute beast, and that's why you loved him when he wore your uniform before he left.
He ain't everything in pass coverage, but as far as the SEC goes, what he did to Georgia, stop the run.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you needed. And so when you match Georgia up against a like team, like Alabama, even with one loss on their record, they got a good coach, they got the prospects, and they got the staff to say, hey, look, we're 0-0 walking into this game. You're going to find Georgia and Kirby Smart doing what they did Saturday.
Generally speaking, Moan, I think this is fair to say. In most football games, I would vote this way 100% of the time, and I bet you I'd be right more than 3/4 of the time. If everything else feels equal, give me the team with the quarterback.
Yes. Jay?
If it's close, if it's teams that both recruit near the top, if you've got skill all across the field, even if they're two really good football coaches, give me the team with the quarterback.
Facts.
One team had a legit superstar playing quarterback, and the other one had a UPS driver.
And if you could stop the dam from breaking when it comes down to Georgia's defense, you can work that secondary. As good as those guys going to be in the league, they are supported by some trench monsters as far as that Georgia defensive front. They ain't have to cover for long.
No.
And you throw Williams into it.
Oh, and I was stunned by this. You tell me this. Alabama's offensive line was abysmal against Texas A&M.
Yeah, they were.
They were bad against Auburn in the Iron Bowl, and they held up against Georgia. All of a sudden, Bryce Young's got time.
Yeah.
And it's just like, where was this? Like,
Matchups.
what is this?
Matchups. Alabama's got a big offensive line. You look at the D-line for Texas A&M, and also Auburn, they usually have smaller, quicker guys. They got guys that can penetrate. Aaron Donald-type guys, maybe with a little bit more size. Well, you look at Alabama versus Georgia, they got some big boys. That's big on big. That is a matchup favor going to Alabama every single time, simply because they're built for that. What has Alabama done in games where they get ahead? They beat you down. They run down your face. Like, look at every single one of the offensive line. They're big dudes. Georgia got a big defensive line. So that matchup is going to go to Alabama when they can pace them, and that's what they did. They gave him time. They gave Bryce Young time. He had the ability to move around the pocket. He had time to get down the field. And again, I think the biggest point to be made is Georgia has wrecked everybody. Tennessee played them well. I'm referencing that game because I watched that one a whole lot more closer.
Well, and you should have, and we all did, and we saw in that first half before the mistake. That's what you can't do against Georgia is make the mistake. Alabama didn't make a mistake on Saturday. Georgia made the mistake.
And again, are we going to knock Georgia on this? Yeah.
You have to.
Because they had all year long to get to this point to try to hide their deficiencies.
And what was the narrative all year, Moan? It's Georgia, and then it's everybody else.
Yeah.
You know what? No. It's everybody in the same bouillabaisse, everybody in the same gumbo.
Yep.
But if you're looking at the college football playoff right now, Saban literally even said, he goes, the rat poison that you guys usually feed us, it was delicious, basically, is what he said. He was just like, you gave us all the inspiration in the world.
Yeah.
And Nick Saban just showed up with a game plan.
Oh.
I saw Ryan Clark. I saw RC say this on Saturday, and it was dead true. It's the same thing we've just been saying for the last 10 minutes. He said, Stetson Bennett, if you can beat us,
do it.
You the man.
I'm telling you.
And it did not happen.
I almost feel like that the Alabama staff and Patriot staff work hand in hand on big game weekends because they find ways to pick up your biggest deficiency and say, do this. Now, again, it was Stetson, and it was also, and I'm just going to say it's the ability that defensive line couldn't get home to cause problems.
I was shocked that they had that little effect. I thought after watching Bryce Young run for his life against Auburn, it was just like, well, Georgia – Bryce is gonna have to run for a lot of first downs. He's gonna have to draw plays up in the dirt. If the offensive line shifts in the wrong direction, they're in trouble. but they picked the right day to show up and play their best game of the season. But the bigger thing for Georgia is this. Of the 4 teams in the college football playoff, which one of them doesn't have a quarterback? It's Georgia. McNamara's playing his best football of the season for Michigan right now.
I like Ritter.
And Ritter goes without saying.
Last week, yeah, I like him,
right.
man.
And then Bryce Young, because of what we saw on Saturday, is going to be your Heisman Trophy winner.
I mean, look at the stat line, too, with what Georgia allowed. I hate to correlate this, but look at it again. They allowed them to have Georgia. They allowed Georgia to have 109-yard rushing, but Stetson Bennett threw it 340 yards, also with 2 interceptions. On the other side of that, to your point, the future Heisman winner, Bryce Young, 421 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. One heck of a weekend. One heck of a weekend, man, for him.
It was great. So now Alabama's the number 1 seed. They play Cincinnati. We finally get to see what one of the others looks like against a true blue blood. We're going to get it.
Somebody call him Stepson Bennett. That was good, Adam. That's on chat.
I want to talk more about the Stetson Bennett decision or non-decision when we come back. But you can, like I said, you can take it wherever you'd like if you'd like to call in at 615-737-1045. I also just think Kirby could have made his life easier if he had made the switch in the second half. And maybe there's something we don't know about health, or maybe he just looks that bad in practice that you can't put him in. But gosh, man, when you keep running into the same wall and you've still got a half of football left and you're only down a touchdown going into the second half, you got to do something. You can't keep doing the same thing in that case. This isn't like you're benching Tom Brady or you're benching Aaron Rodgers or you're benching, Justin Herbert.
The 2 have already been playing.
Yeah. This is Stetson Bennett the 4th we're talking about. Not great, Bob. 615-737-1045. More in a moment here on The Zone. Welcome back. JMart Ramon, 104.5 Zone. All 4 seasons garage doors making it possible. 11-year NFL veteran involved for life. Ramon Foster, Jonathan Schaefer is out today. Andrew Malone is in. I'm Jason Martin. Schaefer's back on Friday. Mike Tanier, Football Outsiders, will join us. Second segment next hour. We'll try to make sense of what we saw yesterday in the NFL. But here's the other thing I want to say about Stetson Bennett and Kirby Smart. I know you can't and you shouldn't coach based on the narrative. You got to coach based on what you think is best. I understand that. But looking at it from my perspective, if you're in the first half of that game and you see Stetson Bennett's just probably not going to be it that day.
Yeah.
If you bring in JT Daniels in the second half and you lose that game, then the narrative, for what it's worth, is, hey, man, Kirby did all he could. He switched quarterbacks. You just weren't going to beat Alabama today. They were just too good today. Bryce Young was too good. Bama deserved it. They just outplayed him. But Kirby did all he could do.
Mm-hmm.
But because you didn't do it, then I can second guess you until the cows come home because you can't disprove a hypothetical. Kirby Smart, had he put JT Daniels in and JT Daniels hadn't been good and then whatever, I don't think people would have been lighting up Kirby Smart the same way that they were. And I mean Georgia fans lighting up Kirby Smart on Saturday night all across social media.
Mm-hmm.
But because you didn't do it, then I can say you should have, because you can't disprove a what if. If you had put him in, maybe you'd have won. But I can sit here and say, if you put him in, you would have had an opportunity to win that game.
Yeah.
Because it was obvious Stetson Bennett was not going to be the guy that was going to win that game for you, and you needed a quarterback that day. And you didn't have one on the field, and you had an opportunity to put one in, and I kept seeing that dude standing on the sidelines holding a clipboard.
Mm-hmm.
And since you didn't put him in, then I can tell you made a mistake. If you put him in and it hadn't worked, I would have just thought, and most people would have just said, okay, Alabama's just a better football team today. But because you didn't, now that opens up the floodgates.
Mm-hmm. And now, of course, Jay, to that. But what's the one thing you got to do as an SEC coach? Win the games you're supposed to and compete against everybody else. When it's your opportunity to strike, you got to strike. Meaning, yesterday was an opportunity to strike. The number one, everybody, like to your point, Jay, kept saying what Kirby Smart is y'all and everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
But coaches in this league, the SEC, get fired for not striking when you're hot. Fulmer got cold, gone. Spurrier got cold, gone. Florida coaches got cold,
Yep.
gone.
Over and over again.
I mean, let's talk about Les Miles, gone. Ed Orgeron, gone.
And that dude won a national title 2 years ago.
You're gone. And then you get to social media, and then to that point, if we've seen people get fired and hired off of social media, have we not? They start comparing you to the old coach. That's never okay. I'm looking at it right now. Somebody said Kirby Smart is just Mark Richt with a bad haircut. You start having that. But not only that, you start getting verified accounts. SEC Mike, just to give it just give reference to it. Smart after 60 games. 47-13, won SEC championship. Rick after first game. 49-11, 2 SEC championships.
And look, Kirby Smart has recruited 5 stars across the board, right? We've talked about how great they are.
Yeah.
How many 5-star quarterbacks have they had there that haven't ended up doing all that much for them? Whether it's Jake Fromm. I mean, they had Justin Fields who ended up leaving.
I was going to say that. Let's think about that.
Right.
You had the guy, and you chose Stetson.
Eventually, especially when you have the right groceries, the meal better taste good. And for Kirby Smart, I'm not saying the seat is hot because that would seem insane.
Right.
But if they step into this college football playoff and Jim Harbaugh beats them,
yeah,
and they might.
And they got a good team.
And they might.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of question marks asked about Kirby Smart because with all that talent, you were not brought there to win the SEC East.
That's light work.
Georgia was not brought there to usually not make the college football playoff or to not win a national title. You got that job to beat Nick Saban.
Yeah.
and be the representative for the SEC. And so far, against Nick Saban, you're 0-7 as a head coach, including a national title game where you had the lead in the second half. He brought in a backup quarterback who won the game and then went on to have a ridiculous year the next year.
Yep.
And you, after watching that happen to your football team in a game with bigger stakes in the same building 3 years ago, you rolled with Stetson Bennett for 4 quarters, kept on doing the exact same thing, lost that game.
Yeah.
And then all I say is, well, one dude's Nick Saban and the other one's not.
You know what? I saw somebody tweet this out yesterday, and I laughed a good laugh. It's like, hey, Georgia fans, it's not fun. It's not fun playing Alabama every year, huh? It's like, welcome to the show, big boys. Like, again, and I won't minimize. Look, if you get beat, you get beat. But going through that gauntlet of Georgia, Florida, Alabama, and Alabama being a steady on your schedule, welcome to the show. And Kirby, you got to get over that. Georgia's way too talented. I'm talking about it's so much. And right now they might be top 3 in the nation again as far as recruiting goes. But you can't get over the hump. You're going to mess around, and you're going to let a team, maybe Florida, maybe South Carolina, maybe Tennessee, somebody knock you off. And if that happens, Kirby, Jay, like you said, he's not hot right now. The seats is fine.
Mm-hmm.
He just had a slip. You have another slip next year.
Mm-hmm.
The SEC is a brutal market.
But again, and I'll say this as we get to the break, and then we'll take your phone calls and continue after the top of the hour. I see cousin Mike's on the line. We'll get to him. We'll get to you first when we come back after the break, Mike. I'll just tell you that now. If Georgia goes 1-done in the college football playoff, they're going to be the biggest frauds since the playoff began. There was an Oklahoma team that was 12-0 that then lost to Kansas State in the Big 12 championship game and then lost out.
Yeah.
But nobody's going to be a bigger fraud because the whole year was college football is nuts. And then there's Georgia. But then they got boat raced by Alabama.
Yeah.
And if they get beat by Michigan, the calls of fraud are going to be hard to deny.
Yeah.
And the fraud's going to be not just on the field. A lot of it's going to be on the sidelines because we're going to start talking about whether or not the emperor's naked or not. And that's not what you're looking for. 615-737-1045. Cousin Mike and more phone calls. We'll jump back into the NFL. Of course, Mike Tanier will join us from Football Outsiders in 25 minutes here on The Zone.
You guys, we are so excited. 3HL has a new title sponsor.
Yeah, and I don't know if you know who the most interesting man in the world is. It's this guy right here.
Yes.
This man is Ryan Kelly, the home loan expert.
You guys are all pretty interesting too, and you've had a heck of a career, sir. So I won't take the claim as most interesting man in the world, but I am the fastest in the mortgage business, guaranteed. I can close loans in 14 days or less. I give my clients the best customer service on the planet, and they know that, and they refer like crazy. They send more people our way. We're blessed. We're happy for all of our past clients, and we're so excited to be kicking this off and being part of the 3HLA family. We might have to make it 4, like 3+, 3 hours, something like that. I don't know. But
The more the merrier, right?
yes. Obviously a huge fan of the show, and you, all of you, and the whole station, everybody's just been so big in our success at the Home Loan Expert. So we're just honored. We're humbled to be in this position. If you're a homeowner out there, learn more about us and visit thehomeloanexpert.com.
And get your free offer. Open Door is a new way to sell without all the hassles of a traditional home selling. You'll know what you're getting. You can decide when you want to close. Go to opendoor.com/WGFX and get your free offer today. That's opendoor.com/WGFX. Offer eligibility varies, and Open Door is represented by Open Door Brokers, Inc. License 02061130 in California. Open Door Brokers, LLC, and its other markets.
Good morning, I'm Will Bowling. After a chaotic college football weekend, our Final Four is set at last. Number 1, Alabama gets number 4, Cincinnati, number 2, Michigan, and number 3, Georgia, the Final Four in college football in 2021. Alabama gets their 6th SEC championship under head coach Nick Saban over the weekend, a 41-24 win over the Georgia Bulldogs. After being an underdog for the first time in 93 games, the Crimson Tide open as a 2-touchdown favorite against Cincinnati in the semifinals. Here in Nashville, the Tennessee Volunteers will get their first bowl game under head coach Josh Heupel in the TransPerfect Music City Bowl, facing the 8-4 Purdue Boilermakers. It's the third time in 12 years that the Vols have played on the Music City Bowl, as they lost to North Carolina in 2010 and beat Nebraska in 2016. It'll be Purdue's first visit to the bowl game since 2018, a 63-14 loss to Auburn. Oklahoma hires its next head coach, officially announcing that Clemson assistant Brent Venables is its new head man last night. Venables spent 10 seasons at Clemson after 13, including a long run as the defensive coordinator for the Sooners. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
What's happening? Welcome in, JMart Ramon, 104.5 The Zone, hour number 2 of Ye program here. When trust matters, count on our title sponsor, All Four Seasons Garage Doors here in Nashville. Professional garage door installation and repair from a locally owned and family-run business. Visit allfourseasonsgarages.com. Hopefully the weather's going to be exiting. It's not quite as bad when I looked out as it was when we were on the drive-in. But might still want to leave a couple minutes early. Could be some accidents. Hopefully not. I think there might have been a tornado that touched down.
Yeah.
In Spring Hill?
Springfield. And then we had some people also just tweeting that they got family members. We're not sure in what area, but I'm sure they'll let us know, right?
Yeah. Well, if there are any updates that we can pass along, we will pass them along as we're keeping kind of an eye peeled on all of that. 11-year NFL veteran involved for life, Ramon Foster. I'm Jason Martin. Andrew Malone in for Jonathan Schaefer until Friday. As we promised, let's go to Cleveland and talk to Cuzzo Mike. Good morning, Mike.
Hello.
Mike.
Ramon Capone, the illest cat in Nebraska. What's up, man?
What's going on,
I'm
man?
I'm just happy that say it again. Say it one more time for me, brother.
Saying, how was y'all this weekend?
This weekend?
Yeah, I was just saying good morning. Hello. Hi.
Oh, okay. There you go. Now I hear you was talking soft, man. You supposed to be excited after the weekend you had, bro. You was talking real low. I couldn't hear you. On my bad. But yo, yeah, man. I was gonna crack some jokes on you, but you know, considering your blue and yellow people, you know, pulled it out for us two-tone cats, I'm gonna leave the jokes for probably Wednesday. All right, but Jason. What it's really what you're saying actually came up Saturday. I went to a dinner with some friends or whatever. Of course, all the fellas, we was over there watching the game at the bar, and you know, so that actually came up about when do you take Stetson out to put in JT, and we all was kind of saying, yo, Kirby Smart is showing some loyalty because that's who got him there. You know what I'm saying? Like his play, he ain't really messed up a whole lot in the season. And so, you know, you still got the playoffs. And so the question we was asking was, when do you take him out during the playoffs? If he comes in and he's not playing good, when do you take him out? You give him the first half, or do you let him ride out the whole game again? And I know we're talking college, but I got this elephant in the room about the NFL. Pretty much, I don't have an elegant way to put it, but the NFL has got to be like just having wet dreams about a Belichick, Brady
Yeah.
Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, Belichick got that young boy playing good right now. They got some wins up. Brady, he's still, putting up dubs. So, I mean, or even Belichick make it to the Super Bowl. And so, I mean, I don't know, man. We kind of had those discussions, and just wanted to hear what y'all thought about it, man. But I'm going to get up off of here. Much love, much praises, deuces.
All right, Mike.
Absolutely. Stay safe, man.
All right, man. Take care of yourself. I will say this. I think the best possible thing could happen to the NFL is for Green Bay to make the Super Bowl and lose to Bill Belichick. Because then you have Brady winning one without Belichick and Belichick winning one without Brady. Both of them come back next year. And it sets the stage. Not that this would happen because there's a lot of football that would have to be played. But if the NFL had its druthers, I mean, yeah, you might just want to see it. We've already seen that game once this year. If you get Brady gets a chit and Belichick's down.
Yeah.
Tampa gets beat this year when they were supposed to be the end-all, be-all, brought everybody back. Green Bay makes it so you get Aaron in the Super Bowl and all that drama. But then a rookie quarterback with Bill Belichick, just like Brady when he came in for Bledsoe.
Yeah.
Now Mac Jones wins a championship. Then you come back in the 2022-23 season, and you've got the last two champions being Tom Brady and Bill Belichick on opposing sides.
Wow.
And it sets the stage for everybody to say, boy, if we could get Tampa and New England this year.
Yeah. Yeah.
If I'm just doing it as if I was writing a book.
Yeah.
That's what I would want to see if I were the NFL. Now, I don't know if that's going to happen. We're going to see a lot. In the next 3 weeks, the Patriots play the Bills twice. Yeah. We're going to find out which one of those two teams is going to be limping in.
Or some going to be running
or sprinting in.
Yep. This game tonight between those two.
Yeah, I can't wait to see this game.
It is. I'm talking about it's got to be the ultimate tug of war. It has to be for us to consider either one of them to be legit. To me, that's what I'm saying. Like if a team let's say the Patriots get drugged tonight, then what? Like that doesn't justify anything that they've done. It does, but it doesn't make sense for this game not to be close, especially the way New England has played. Especially the hype that they've had, and more than anything, the hype that the Bills have had. This is like a meeting of the minds right now. Tonight, this game, man, I'm looking forward to hearing what Peyton and Eli have to say about this game.
Yeah, it's good to have the Manning cast back for this one. It really is, because I want to hear what Peyton and Eli have to say about Mac Jones as a rookie, but also just how it's going to be a great game. Like that. This one's going to be worth the time tonight. To the question about Stetson Bennett from Mike. Stetson Bennett this season, 148 of 231, 2,300 yards, 24 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, 64% completion percentage. On paper, Stetson Bennett does the kinds of things that have driven Nick Saban crazy in the few games that he's lost. The one thing you got to have to beat Nick Saban, especially in the SEC, is a dynamic quarterback that can move. Johnny Manziel, Swag Kelly at Ole Miss. It's teams like that. Or you got to be a Joe Burrow type and have weapons all over the field. Stetson Bennett can move. Stetson Bennett can run. But Stetson Bennett, to the question about when you should put him in, I got a hard time feeling like JT Daniels shouldn't start the semifinal because here's what I do know. Michigan plays good defense.
Yeah, they do. I think they got a couple first-rounders. I know for sure one first-rounder.
They made C.J. Stroud look positively average 2 weeks ago in the Big House against Ohio State. And Iowa could barely move the football at all. You want to talk about how bad their offense is? Iowa got inside the Michigan 15 3 times. They finished the game with 3 points.
Whew. That's cold.
I don't even know how that's possible.
That's cold.
But Michigan can play defense, and I'm looking at that, and I'm just like, I know Georgia can play defense. But am I sold that Stetson Bennett's going to be able to move the football on Michigan's defense? I don't know. I don't know.
I don't either. And the thing is, the tight end that Georgia got is really good.
Oh, Bowers is unbelievable.
He is really good.
Incredible.
Yes, he is. And that run game, I think that's been the biggest crutch, though, is that Stetson hadn't had to rely on himself winning a game like that simply because they have a line until they met a bigger defensive line, and they got a run game. That's what broke down most of the teams they played this year. Dalvin Cook's little brother has been cooking on everybody this year, man, and just the whole stable of running backs they got. That's one thing that Georgia is known for, is they have a really good run game. And when you knock that into the ground, you got to throw it 48 times to Stetson Bennett. And then he throws 2 picks against a really good team.
And one of them was a pick six, and that was the end of the football game.
You know what I'm saying? Like, if you smack them in the mouth and you play bully ball with them and you meet them face to face with it, with what Michigan has, it could be a long day for Georgia.
When we come back, a lot of NFL talk with a side of snark. Our pal Mike Tanier of Football Outsiders on the other side. It is JMart Ramon, 104.5 The Zone. Here's a few questions you should ask yourself. Is your heating system ready for this cold weather? The temperature is going to drop pretty significantly throughout the course of the day. It's going to be in the 20s when we wake up tomorrow going to Toy Field at Nissan Stadium. And then it's going to jump back up, but we're about to get to the real cold stuff. So, is your heating system ready for this cold weather? Is it around 10 years old? Is it providing the best possible air quality for your home? If it's time to replace your heating system, your friends at Lee Company are making that easier than ever. I want you to call today. Take advantage of Lee Company's exceptional HVAC financing offer. Special financing for up to 60 months or up to $1,250 off select high-efficiency systems. That question about is it around 10 years old? Our upstairs was 17 years old. It's now about 6 weeks old because we got it replaced through Lee Company. The financing offer is great if you need it. 60 months or $1,250 off select high-efficiency systems. Never been a better time to take advantage of this than right now. Some of the companies, we know they're going to be raising prices in the coming months, but right now they're locked in. Call Lee Company today. Learn all about their current financing and special offers. 615-567-1000. That's 567-1000, or visit them online just like I did at leecompany.com/promotions. Welcome back, JMart Ramon, 104.5 The Zone. We're powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. Right here in Nashville, 11-year NFL veteran involved for life, Ramon Foster. I'm Jason Martin. Andrew Malone in for Jonathan Schaefer as he's doing jury duty. I just hope it's not grand jury duty if I ever get to call. 4 days, the first 4 days of the month for 3 months in a row.
Yeah.
Hard pass, Moan.
Yeah, that's a lot of sitting and judging right there.
Guests appear on the program via the Mark Spain Real Estate Hotline, including this guy, Mike Tanier, our pal from Football Outsiders. Mike, what's going on?
Well,
Yep.
Mike,
you with us?
hey, are we there?
Yeah. We're here. We're good.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're all good. You kind of feel like the Cincinnati Bengals to us right now. Do we have Mike or
Is
do we
Mike
not
there?
have Mike? Hang on.
Whoa,
Hey, Mike, are you with us?
what's going on?
I don't know. I'm not sure. Can you hear us
I'm
right now?
confused. I was waiting for my introduction, and everything went silent.
No.
I don't know what happened there.
You kept yelling
You know,
hello?
Hello, I am here. You know, you played that Beatles intro, and everything went silent. I thought it was like that Get Back documentary
Yeah.
where the Beatles weren't speaking to each other, so we weren't speaking to each other. We were all just giving each other icy silence. I am ready to roll here.
Okay.
Okay.
Mike, can you hear us at this point in time before we ask a question? I honestly
I'm
don't know.
confused. Am I supposed to be running the show now?
No. We're waiting on you, Mike. Mike, you got us. We're
Andrew,
good to
pick
go.
pick up the phone, talk to Mike real quick. I don't know what's happening. We got a problem with our guest line right now. Apparently,
I feel like this is a prank call going on.
I don't know what's happening.
I love this. Ooh,
Okay.
Mike said he's ready to go. I'm gonna let you just fire at him right now, man.
For some reason, he can't hear your microphone. He can only hear
He can
Ramon.
hear me?
Yeah.
Is
Oh,
your
you
mic
can hear
on?
Ramon? Yeah,
You want
my
me to
mic's
ask the
on.
questions for you?
All right, well, I'm going to put Mike back on, Ramon, and you start talking to him. I don't know what's happening on my end, okay? All right, start talking now.
Hey,
Mike, you got me?
I've got you, and I could hear both of you a moment ago. Can I hear both of you now?
Can you hear me now, Mike?
I cannot. I can only hear Ramon.
He can only hear me.
Okay, Mo,
I
you
can
go
only
ahead.
hear you, Ramon. This is bizarre.
Let's go. Let's go. Well, welcome in, man.
Take a break.
Jay's just leaning back right now.
Thank you. We can do this via an interpreter. It'll be perfect.
We
Great
can't
radio.
have him text me questions while we do the show right now, Mike. Okay. So, yesterday, I think in general, man, well, first things first. Detroit finally gets a win. I know we got to knock this one out, but were you watching the press conference and how their head coach went about it, and what does that mean to that team so far?
I'm afraid I did not see the press conference, and I should have checked it out because I'm sure Dan Campbell was like headbutting everyone in sight or whatever. But huge win. You know, I was joking before that game. You know, the Lions are 7-4 against the spread. Now they're 8-4 against the spread. You know, so it was like 10-1, 7-4 against the spread, but number one in our hearts.
Yeah.
But now they get that win. It's proof of concept what Campbell is doing, particularly in the trenches, in the running game with the run defense. And you know, it's a critical victory for a team that has a lot of questions to answer, but needs to show that they're behind their coach and that they're going to keep rallying until the end of the season.
They are, and that's what's so wild about this season, though, Mike. Anybody can win this year, it seems to be. And just let's look at the team that everybody was low on at the beginning. Kansas City is starting to do Kansas City-type things, man. And are you saying this is them that we're willing to see for the AFC side, or is this a little bit of smoke and mirrors also?
You know what's weird? You know, for the last 3 years, it was Patrick Mahomes and the offense, and the defense does enough. And the beginning of the year, the defense was absolutely terrible, and Mahomes was making mistakes. Now, Mahomes is still making mistakes. As a team, they're still making mistakes on offense. The defense is playing unbelievable, and they had a bunch of turnovers, fourth down stops last night. So it's kind of like the Chiefs went from being the 1999 Rams, the greatest show on turf, to the steel curtain Steelers of the 70s over the course of like 6 weeks. They completely changed their personality, completely changed what they do. Now, I don't know how sustainable it is, but I think the defense has gotten a little bit better. They've gotten some guys back. They added Melvin Ingram. They moved Chris Jones back inside. And you know that offense could explode at any time. So I think they're a team that everybody's going to be keeping their eyes on late in the season. I think that they're legitimately in position to make a Super Bowl run. And the part of that is because they have so many different ways they can beat you when their defense is playing very, very good football.
But with them, though, who can you, actually trust on the AFC side? As soon as we're down against Kansas City, they storm back. Yesterday, Las Vegas loses to Washington. And on top of that, you have other teams in the AFC side that just so happen to drop the ball or they're not as good as we thought they were going to be. Again, Cincinnati. Yes, I have joy of them losing games, but I want to be able to crown them, Mike, when it comes down to saying Joe Burrow and this group of Jamar Chase, that defense that they've that defense that they've spent money on is back on top, and then they lose the way they did yesterday. Mike, help me make sense of it all.
All right. Well, we're going to learn more tonight with tonight's game, obviously.
Yeah.
I think we know the Bills are pretty solid. We know the Patriots are never going to lose a dumb game. They may not be up there to be able to beat the best teams in the NFC, et cetera, but they're not going to trip over themselves the way the Bengals so often do in these games. So you know the Patriots are going to be riding there. We've seen enough of the Chiefs over the last couple of years to trust them. That's kind of it. Ravens have too many injuries. You look across, they had Marlon Humphrey get hurt, a couple other guys get hurt yesterday. They have so many injuries at running back on the offensive line. They're kind of a mess. They're going to stagger into the playoffs. Your Tennessee Titans, obviously, injuries, staggering into the playoffs. Colts, not really good enough to beat the best teams. They can go out there and womp up on the Texans all they want. So that's it. We're looking at the Patriots, probably the Bills, and the Chiefs as the teams to really talk about in the AFC. And it's not that different in the NFC, where you can just say Buccaneers, Packers, Cowboys, Cardinals, maybe Rams, and that's it. What we have is just a lot of wild card teams that are good one week, bad the next week. That's not that unusual in the NFL.
Yeah, man, and that's what's so interesting. Jay, we got you yet?
I don't know. Can you hear me on this microphone, Mike?
Hello, it's good to talk to you, friend.
Hey, fantastic. Oh, my gosh. Okay, well, I'm on a different microphone. I don't know what's going on with mine, but that's fine. All right, so to Moan's point and to what you were just saying, does it feel like a lot of these teams are just a year away? Like, I like the Bengals, but it still feels like they're awfully young, and they're doing a young team kind of thing with a young coach kind of thing. It's just really hard right now to not think the playoffs are going to be bonkers because you can make cases for and against virtually anybody.
Right, you're exactly right. I think the Bengals are the young team a year away. I think the Chargers are still the young team with young coaches a year or two away. They got the big win last week. They've got big losses on their resume as well. You can look around. The Cardinals might even be that team, but I think they're a step up. But you're right. The playoffs are going to be bonkers because the Titans are going to come in as a home favorite. And let's be frank, this is a team with a lot of injuries. They're going to be very vulnerable at home. I think the Ravens are going to come in as a home team. Like I said, lots of injuries, going to be vulnerable. The Patriots, in a lot of ways, are a young team at a lot of positions and a very old team at other ones. So they're vulnerable. You're going to go – I usually go into the playoffs like going chalk, 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 chalk. Just take your home favorites. Just take your home favorites. This year, forget about it, especially in the AFC. I mean, look at those road teams. There might be some road favorites in play, and watch out for them because they're high volatility, they're young, and they could get a win or two in the playoffs. And, yeah, they could be building even better, something that's going to be more successful and more consistent in 2022.
Mike, I was saying if I was writing a book and I could control the story, last year you had Tom Brady win. What if this year you had Bill Belichick win against, let's say, Aaron Rodgers? So you had, all right, Tom Brady's won a Super Bowl. Now Bill Belichick's won one with a rookie quarterback. And then you come back next year and ESPN goes insane praying for a Bucs-Patriots Super Bowl and talks about it all year long. It seems like that could be the perfect scenario because everybody was dead. Like, Belichick's dead, and now Belichick is very much alive.
It's like those Star Wars movies. Hey, you know what? The Emperor's still alive.
Yeah.
He's back. You know? And it's the same way where it's like, hey, that's a good idea. And then we watch it, and it's like, that's not a good idea. I mean, I know that there are millions of fans in Tampa, in New England, around the country who just kind of are casual fans who tune in for the Super Bowl who would love to see Brady Belichick. Would you like to see that? Do you guys want to spend 2 weeks talking about that?
Yeah,
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, not exactly.
So if I was controlling the storyline, I'd be telling the story of Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen and some of these other teams moving up here. However, we don't control the storyline. Belichick and Brady do, and that the rest of us are just living in their world.
So on the other side of it, too, the Los Angeles Rams, are they that good? Is it just Green Bay and Tampa? Like, where do they fit up in this mix right now? We saw Odell give himself a shot yesterday. Like, is he back?
He had a couple of good catches in that game. I was just rewatching the film, and, they were playing the Jaguars. And it looked like they were playing the Jaguars. And there was a lot of that game where they just put extra offensive linemen on the field and ran off tackle and said, we're just going to melt the Jaguars and get the win there. So what I see from the Rams is they've kind of sewed up their first wild card. The Cardinals are kind of ahead of them. The Rams lost a couple of winnable games, so they kind of put themselves in a position where they're going to be in the chase group or the big four teams in the NFC. Can they go on the road and beat a team? Absolutely. Was I totally convinced they were back yesterday? No, because it was a lot of, hey, Cooper Kupp and Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey are awesome, and if you can some way force us to go to our other group of guys, including Odell, you're probably going to get a win. So, I didn't learn a lot from the Rams yesterday that I wanted to. That said, still a very strong team, and when you've got 5 superstars that can help you win, that can get you a long way in the playoffs.
Mike, are we finally done with the Taysom Hill QB1 experiment after Thursday night? Like, I've been done with this since day one. I don't know why Sean Payton needs to continually try to prove he's the smartest guy in the room. I know you're an offensive genius. Can you at least put a quarterback in there?
That's right. He has to prove he's the smartest guy in the room, and he's going to force this decision over and over again. And now Taysom Hill has mallet finger. He has the same injury as Russell Wilson. So now he thinks if he gets Russell Wilson-type injuries, he can become Russell Wilson. So I hope this is done. I hope they look at this guy who can't throw downfield anyway, who isn't a good decision-maker in the pocket with the ball, and now has a finger injury that turned Russell Wilson into a bad quarterback for a month, and they say, let's just try to survive with Trevor Siemian. But I don't know. If you look at the whole Saints situation right now, they could still make the playoffs, but they really shouldn't. They should bow out at this point. They're going to be $60 million over the cap next year, and the only quarterback they have under contract for next year, not Jameis, not Trevor Siemian, is Taysom Hill, who they just extended. So I have no idea how the Saints are running things right now, but it's a bad prognosis, and it's about to start getting a lot worse.
Speaking of that division right there, you have the Panthers yesterday firing their OC. Is this I mean, what is it? Maybe he's trying to go to the college ranks? I mean,
I was reliably informed, guys, that Joe Brady was a genius.
I was too. Tell me what we're wrong.
The awesome power of networking and the awesome power of winning a national championship when you have Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson and Clyde Edwards-Helaire in your offense, where I could coordinate that offense by saying, go out there, boys. Have fun. So, yeah, you look at that whole division, you're right. The Panthers, it's a little bit of a goofball show. These guys are demonstrating that they're a bunch of college guys, signed 7-year contracts for $1 gazillion, and are completely Peter principle. They're completely overmatched. Will Brady, the whole bunch of them there. Joe Brady, of course. I don't know what the Falcons are doing. I saw a guy out of Atlanta saying, hey, the Falcons are going to extend Matt Ryan's contract, and I almost cried. I almost cried at the idea that it's going to be 2024. I'm going to be watching Matt Ryan stumble around at quarterback there, and the Saints we just talked about. So, yeah, that's why it's Tom Brady's world. Yeah. Tom Brady changes teams, and the 3 teams in that division, the Saints were a great organization for years. The Panthers were always dangerous. Cam Newton, boom, they all fall apart so Tom Brady can achieve greater glories.
So I know you're in Philly, Mike, and you watch the Eagles. So explain to me this: is it possible Ryan Fitzpatrick and Gardner Minshew are actually the same person?
They are. It's a cloning situation. They clone him. The beard hasn't grown in yet, but the mustache is perfect, obviously. And we're going to be talking about Gardner Minshew going from bad team to bad team, winning some games, causing these little petty quarterback controversies for the next 15 to 17 years. And, yeah, it was exciting here watching that game yesterday. Of course, they beat the Jets, and they could have beat the Jets with just any number of quarterbacks out there. But I was sitting in my local Philadelphia tap room, and, on the first completion of the game, Gardner Minshew throws a screen pass, and, like, the 2 guys next to me are like, here comes the quarterback controversy. It's going to be silly. And I'm like, yeah. And by the third quarter, they're like, you know what? Jalen Hurts can't complete those kind of passes. That's the kind of heady play you can only get from a Gardner Minshew. Did you guys get mind controlled or something like that? You knew this was a joke coming in. So but yeah, Minshew, it's going to be weird here in Philly. And we're going to be hearing about Minshew for a long time. He's going to be the quarterback you get when you don't really have a quarterback and you don't really have a solution for many years to come.
Now, on this AFC side, let's see. I mean, it's ever-changing every single week as far as who's the number one overall seed. But if Kansas City just so happens to get it and the Titans don't, like, the benefit of having that and having momentum going into the playoffs, do you see an opportunity where the Titans can actually take that over and go deep into the playoffs? I know they got to get past the injuries, though.
They've got to get past the injuries. I'm checking their schedule right now, and you've got Jacksonville and Houston on there, so there's 2 W's. But then you've got 3 tough teams. That schedule looked a little easier when the Dolphins stunk a couple of weeks ago. They kind of pulled it together. The Steelers are obviously not an easy out, nor are the 49ers. It's very tough, but remember, you're not just getting momentum. You're right. You're overcoming injuries to get there, and then you possibly can rest up. You can possibly get some key players back there along the way. And the final thing you just said a couple of minutes ago, the teams like the Bengals and the Chargers is going to be crazy because if they have their great game in the wild card, they're going to crush you. And if they have their typical game, they won't. So you want to avoid all of that. You want to say, hey, let's watch all the bad wild card teams, see which one gets lucky and snipes somebody, and just sit back and get healthy. Everybody's going to look for that. Titans could still do it. Chiefs could still do it. But you know Bill Belichick is sitting there, and I think they've got a couple easy games left on their schedule. And he's saying, this is crucial for us because I want a bye week to prepare my rookie quarterback. He's going to do everything possible to leverage and get that first-round bye.
So it's going to be a fun game tonight, obviously, and we're going to see these 2 teams play each other 2 of the next 3 weeks, Mike. But my question is different. We all remember where we are when historic things happen. Where were you, Mike, when you learned that Ben Roethlisberger suggested this is probably going to be his last year as the starting quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers?
I was sitting at my desk following the NFL news, like I almost always am in my life. And, I was like, yeah, of course he is. Of course, we all know this. And what's great is that the Steelers and their fans and even Tomlin are doing a victory lap right now. Like, oh, you think Ben Roethlisberger's washed up? Ha, 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 look what we just did. It's like you scored 20 points against a team whose cornerbacks were all injured. That's what you did. This is not the solution that T.J. Watt took over that game. Roethlisberger threw like 3 good passes, but yeah, I'm not excited to see Ben Roethlisberger go. That's not like a good attitude, but I'm pleased that they're making the right decision and doing what's best for him and the organization.
So the quarterback on the other side, real quick, Lamar. As dynamic as anyone get, I feel like everybody's watching him play. They're holding their breath because you don't know what he's gonna do, Mike. But how good can they be in the playoffs with that?
If he plays the way he did in the first 6 weeks, the Ravens are one of the best teams in the AFC, assuming they get some guys healthy and figure things out in the secondary. If he plays the way he's played in the last month, the Dolphins game was brutal. The Browns game was brutal. Yesterday's game, until that fourth quarter comeback, was brutal. So they've got to figure out what they're doing with Lamar. Part of that is figure out what they're doing with their offensive line. They lost another offensive lineman, and they've lost a couple of them yesterday. And if they're not protecting him, that's where you get to Lamar, who is playground ball, NFL blitz, touchdown, sack, or interception. Those are your 3 outcomes. You can't have that guy because it's too messy. Okay, so what they need to figure out what to do is protect him a little bit better and get him an opportunity to go back and being the Lamar we saw last year and in 2019.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mike. We appreciate you, brother. I'm glad that I actually was able to say something to you. We didn't get to the Eternals review. I wanted to talk about how relentlessly mediocre that film was.
Oh, I could do that for an hour, man. But it was great hearing both of you for the second half of this segment.
Appreciate you, Mike. Thanks, buddy.
You got it.
Indeed. All right, Andrew, you're going to have to hang up on him because I'm not near the phone at this point. It is JMart Ramon here on 104.5 The Zone. Some of the things we just talked about there with Tanir, we will discuss on the other side. If you got thoughts on the football weekend, 615-737-1045, 737-1045. Also, a stat about the college football playoff that should make Georgia fans remember they're Georgia fans. We'll be right back. JMart Ramon, 104.5 The Zone.
We're nearing the end of 2021, and it has been a year. I'm sure most of you have experienced and struggled with the supply chains issues due to COVID. I know I have. These days, it's just not easy to get what you want, but my friends at Two Rivers Ford have some great news. New inventory is coming in every single day. So if you're in the market for a new Ford, make sure you check out tworiversford.com daily and see what's arrived on their lot. If you want someone at Two Rivers Ford to contact you, that's easy. When the vehicle comes in, just give them a shout, and they'll make sure you are alerted. The salespeople at Two Rivers Ford don't work on commission, so you never have to worry about them pressuring you. They are there to make things easier for you. Also, if you know exactly what vehicle you want and you want to order it, Two Rivers Ford can do that for you too. They have now a Built For You program where you can order any model, any color with any available feature. You can order your Ford today and get it delivered right to your door when it is manufactured. There's a reason why I call my friends at Two Rivers Ford the best in the business. They've been doing it for almost 40 years, and that's because they make the customer experience hassle-free, honest, and easy. So for all things Ford, reach out to the most trusted Ford dealer in Tennessee, my friends at Two Rivers Ford. Two Rivers Ford, powered by Ford, driven by people. if you're like me, when you want something done to your car, you want somebody that you can trust, somebody that you know that, hey, look, every time I go to them, it's going to be done right and it's going to be done within the right price. And that's how I am with Brian Motorsports in Hendersonville, Tennessee. It's 789 West Main Street. I'm telling you this, if you want something done to your car, truck, Jeep, Ford Bronco, they are the spot to go. And also, JMart Ramon will be live on site at Brian Motorsports Tuesday, December 14th from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. And the holiday season is a perfect time to come see us while we're at Brian Motorsports to upgrade your kid's truck, car, your wife, it doesn't matter. That is a gift that's going to be giving smiles all year long. Brian and his team's approach is to stay at the forefront of custom builds, making every build fresh and cutting edge. If there's something you want done and unsure if it can be done, go see my guys at Brian Motorsport. What makes them different is they listen to you, the customer. They hear your vision and put together the best dream for your vehicle. Dream, design, build was inspired by the team of Brian, wanting to make your dreams come true. You're in your car or Jeep or Bronco vehicle every single day. It's got to look good, and those are the guys. And if you want to go off-roading with your truck, Jeep, Bronco, whatever, Brian Motorsports can give you that aggressive off-road appearance and performance that has made Brian Motorsport an undisputed leader of off-road upgrades. They offer tire and wheel packages, lift kits, lights, winches, interior, and audio customization, graphics, and a combination of everything listed from mile to wow to make your off-road experience what you have dreamed of. Brian Motorsport specializes in lift kits, tires, rims, customer interiors, winches, step bars, grill, lighting, and graphics. Every vehicle I've had has gone through Brian Motorsport, somebody I trust. Again, when you're in the car business, the way that they are, you got to go to a trusted source. Visit them at brianmotorsports.com or simply go to their Instagram at brianmotorsport.com. Visit them in Hendersonville, 789 West Main Street in Hendersonville, Tennessee. Brian Motorsports, the place to go to get your vehicle done.
It is JMart Ramon here on 104.5 The Zone. All Four Seasons Garage Doors in Nashville makes it possible. We're building a field of toys to benefit Salvation Army's Forgotten Angels program. Thanks to Planet Fitness and Freedom Boat Club of Nashville. While you're out doing holiday shopping, remember those in need. Pick up an unwrapped toy. Bring it to Nissan Stadium tomorrow for our Toy Field Toy Drive. All the info you need, 1045zone.com, will all be broadcasted live. 3HL will be at Buffalo Wild Wings in Franklin, but it'll be a secondary drop-off spot. So we are looking to make as many Christmases as we possibly can. You guys are always incredibly generous. We're always blown away when we see it at the end of the day. So hopefully we'll see some of you out there tomorrow.
Yeah.
Scott Ramsey will join us in the next hour. Course of the Nashville Sports Council. Music City Bowl made the right easy decision. Josh Heupel, year one against Jeff Brom. It's going to be two high-powered offenses. You got Biletnikoff finalist at wide receiver for Purdue. We know what Tennessee can do offensively. Be a fun game at 3 p.m. on December the 30th.
And those tickets are selling fast, too.
Of course they are.
And it's prices up there, by the way, too. If you hadn't gotten your ticket, you should probably go on and try to get some for that one. I think it's going to be a big showing.
Yeah, hoping to be there. We'll see if it works out.
Yeah.
10-0 Georgia. Alabama hadn't had a play longer than 13 yards, and then in the second quarter, 10 of 15 or more yards in the game. 7 of them happened in the second quarter. Georgia's defense made it so Stetson Bennett had to actually do something and couldn't do it.
Right.
Georgia allowed 6.9 points per game in the season. Gave up 40-plus to Alabama. Georgia was allowing 150 passing yards a game, gave up 421. Allowing 229 total yards per game, Alabama gained 536. Georgia, averaging 3.4 sacks per game, had 0 for the first time since October of 2019.
Hold up. Oh, wow.
So over 2 years since they have had a 0-sack game. Leading pass rusher, Adam Anderson, 5 sacks in Georgia's first 8 games. Then he was arrested on that rape charge.
Yeah.
Not expected to play again.
Yeah.
This year. And I read Pat Forty saying that weakest defensive link for Georgia was cornerback, and that's exactly what happened.
I didn't even know he was going to say that. I tweet that out, Jay. But what do we say? That rush up front, if it gets home, then it hides your deficiencies. And cornerback is, even as highly rated as they are, they got some guys that think that's going to go first round also on that Georgia defense in their secondary. But it's a whole lot easier to play when you got those trench monsters up front creating all kind of chaos. And Bama had an offensive line that could stop that.
And Stetson Bennett, 5 picks in 2 games against Alabama.
Say that again real close. There's a lot of detail in that. What?
5 interceptions in 2 games against Alabama. 3 last year, 2 on Saturday, including the pick 6 that basically broke that game.
So to your point about Kirby Smart making the right decision, you knew this. Well, there's a stat that said Alabama has a way with Stetson Bennett, and you still kept him in the game. That's not a good job of self-scouting. You said Kirby should have you called him, what was it, immature?
Yeah, I call him an immature coach because he's not making the business decision that you have to make. Again, to the succession analogy that I made off the top of the show. When Kendall Roy went to his father at the end of season 2 and said, "Did you think I could do it? Did you think I could be you?" The response from Logan Roy was, "No, you're not a killer, and you have to be a killer." And Nick Saban looked at Kirby Smart on Saturday and said, "You're not a killer." Listen to this from Pat Forty at Sports Illustrated. Whether it was Jake Fromm playing in front of Justin Fields or now Bennett playing in front of USC transfer JT Daniels, Smart has tilted toward playing the game manager over the big play guy. Now Smart has to decide whether to make a quarterback switch in the playoff.
It's too late then, Jay. I ain't going to say it's too late. You could at least got a test run at it.
But you weren't even getting the guy reps.
I know.
In games that were blowouts earlier in the year.
See, he let that schedule go to his head. Who was it? Charleston Southern they played, beat Georgia Tech. They beat us. They beat Mizzou. Like, you played against some lesser guys, and Stetson could perform well. When it's good on good, Jay, you got to put your guys out there. It's got to be like you said, put on your big boy pants.
Yeah. Eventually, you got to make the tough business decision because your job is to win. And it's not to win against Charleston Southern. You got to do that too. But the reason why you got that gig was because, okay, maybe we can beat Nick Saban. You're 0-7. It ain't going very well.
And that starting quarterback has thrown 5 interceptions.
Now, if you go beat them in the national championship game, if you go beat Michigan and then you beat Alabama in the national title game, then you will get your flowers. But if you don't and you roll Stetson Bennett and he throws another couple of interceptions or 3 interceptions in the national title game, and that's assuming you get by Michigan, the questions are going to be there, bud. I'm just here to tell you. Third hour of the program next, 615-737-1045. Scott Ramsey of the Nashville Sports Council. We'll talk Music City Bowl with him in about 25 minutes. More on the NFL Sunday when we come back here. JMart Ramon, 1045 The Zone.
Baker Birdwell is the disability brokerage that your financial advisor count on to deliver disability income protection. It's one of the least known about insurance coverages. When I ask somebody, what is your most valuable asset? Most people are going to instantly tell me, man, it's my place. It's my dwelling. It's where I live. And I'm here to tell you, it's your income. Without that income, you can't supply that house, that townhome, that place, or even the groceries for your family. As a former pro athlete, it wasn't a thought about ensuring my income or career. but I'm sure the same applies to you as well. Have you considered what would happen if you can continue your career due to health or injury? For about 2 or 3% of your income, you can insure 6% of your income tax-free. You may know about short-term and long-term group disability plans that your employer may provide. But with them paying the premium for you, the benefits you get paid out, they are taxable. Could you live off 40% of your income and still provide for you and your family? Because after taxes, that's what you'll get because you're in one of those group disability plans. Disability insurance is one of the most undersold, underutilized, but most needed products. Baker Birdwell is the best source for financial advisors and insurance agents. They are a trusted friend working with your trusted advisor and to be sure that you are properly insured. They are local and want to make sure their community is protected. Have you thought about your yearly income times the 15 to 20 years of your life? Your earning potential is not only important to your current family, but to your future as well. Have your financial advisor or insurance agent call Baker Birdwell and talk through the many ways you can get insured or compare your current plan to make sure it's up to date. We learned this past year the hard way. Bad things can happen to good people. Baker Birdwell just want to import to everyone how important it is to insure your income. Baker Birdwell is here to work with your trusted advisor. You can call them at 615-309-5958 or visit their website at bakerbirdwell.com or simply email them at info@bakerbirdwell.com.
Good morning, I'm Will Bowling. After a chaotic college football weekend, our Final Four is set at last. Number 1, Alabama gets number 4, Cincinnati, number 2, Michigan, and number 3, Georgia, the Final Four in college football in 2021. Alabama gets their 6th SEC championship under head coach Nick Saban over the weekend, a 41-24 win over the Georgia Bulldogs. After being an underdog for the first time in 93 games, the Crimson Tide open as a 2-touchdown favorite against Cincinnati in the semifinals. Here in Nashville, the Tennessee Volunteers will get their first bowl game under head coach Josh Heupel in the TransPerfect Music City Bowl, facing the 8-4 Purdue Boilermakers. It's the third time in 12 years that the Vols have played on the Music City Bowl, as they lost to North Carolina in 2010 and beat Nebraska in 2016. It'll be Purdue's first visit to the bowl game since 2018, a 63-14 loss to Auburn. Oklahoma hires its next head coach, officially announcing that Clemson assistant Brent Venables is its new head man last night. Venables spent 10 seasons at Clemson after 13, including a long run as the defensive coordinator for the Sooners. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
What's happening? Hour number 3, JMart and Ramon here on this Monday. Not following a Titans game. Mike Vrabel, I think, is speaking at 11:45 today. I don't know for sure, but I imagine we'll hear that during the Buck Rising program.
Yeah, we should.
I would think so.
Oh, did you see him last night as you continue to bring everybody in? He had a little reaction in the Kansas City game.
Who did?
Vrabel.
Oh.
Somebody's either him or somebody tweeting from his account.
I didn't even know he was on Twitter.
Yeah, he's got one. Let me pull this up real quick, Jay, if you don't mind, man. We are in the 8 o'clock hour. Oh, yeah. He added, this was in reaction to the NFL talking about the catch fumble that Travis Kelce had in the game. Vrabel takes his time and tweets out from his account, Article 3, completed pass or intercepted pass. Basically saying you guys are going against your own ruling right here. He caught the ball, possessed it, made a move into his arm, and which should have been a fumble. They didn't call it a fumble. A player who makes a catch may advance the ball. A forward pass is completed by the offense or intercepted by the defense in the field of play at the sideline or in the end zone if a player who is inbounds, A, secures control of the ball in his hand or arms prior to the ball touching the ground, which Kelce did. Touches the ground inbound with both feet or with any part of his body other than his hands, and after A and B have been fulfilled, performs any act common to the game, e.g. tuck the ball away, which he did, extend it forward, take an additional step, which he did, turn upfield, or avoid or ward off an opponent, or he maintains control of the ball long enough to do so, which he did. Vrabel basically had time last night, Jay, on a Sunday night. That was pretty interesting right there, man.
Yeah, I see it now.
You verified account.
Replying to NFL officiating.
Cold-blooded. He can't be fined for it. Is it a black eye to what the NFL officiating is?
I mean, how can you have it feels like the eye's already pretty dark there, Mo.
I know. It is.
Maybe, I don't know if there's a shade deeper than pitch.
Oh, endless black? I don't know.
Yeah,
you see the play and then the tweet though too. It's he ain't wrong. He made a move, 1-2 steps, tucked the ball away. That's a catch.
It should be, yeah. If you make in a football move,
moving
forward when you've got the ball tucked away,
Ball was tucked away.
If you don't get it tucked away and it's still like bobbling around in your hands, then you can't make a football move. But once you tuck the ball away and you've taken a couple of steps,
that's 1, 2.
The third element of a catch, time, was not met.
Time.
That's what NFL officiating said. That's what I think got Vrabel. Where Vrabel's like,
It doesn't mention time in this.
Does not
breakdown.
mention time. Does not mention time. Correct.
It does not. And he's spot on. It's black and white.
I'm going to follow Mike Vrabel.
Mike tweet.
I didn't realize he had Twitter. I really didn't. I
saw it. I was like, oh, this is verified.
I kind of assumed maybe he probably wouldn't. Just strikes me as a guy that probably didn't spend a lot of time on there. But okay.
Coach got time, man. By the way, this thing has 277 quote tweets, which means everybody's watching it. Over 6,000 likes. That's some big coach energy right there, man.
Good stuff, man. Way to go, Vrabel. That's the bye week right there.
That's the bye week. He's sitting home before he's got this bonus Monday with his guys this morning. They'll probably be in the bubble this morning, huh? The indoor, because it's wet and rainy. But he's not wrong.
No.
I don't think the NFL can say, hey, no, Mike, you're getting fined on this one, because he's using what they gave him. This is a rule book. This is a rule. Verbatim. That was a fumble last night on Travis Kelce.
Yeah, it was. In a division game that was important. But,
every little bit counts, though, man. Yeah, especially the way that, the Broncos, they were playing really good. I thought defensively they did some good stuff. Of course, Kansas City makes some moves here and there. They're good dynamically offense, which is why every possession that you can get against Kansas City, you want to do that. The biggest mistake they did, though, was not get the 3 points when they drove all the way down. And they got a little bit too cocky on 4th and 2 and got stuffed.
And that was when they had gotten the ball back and they had gotten that first down kind of out of nowhere and then came away empty. And you just can't do that.
Not against that team.
No.
Not against that team. But the young rookie cornerback out of Alabama.
Oh, he's great. I'm really happy we have him.
Hey.
Sertan's a stud.
He's tall.
Yeah.
He's got
Justin
size.
Simmons is a stud.
Stud.
There's talent.
There's
a lot of talent on Denver's team. Man.
And if you can knock your opponent, which is what Vrabel's trying to knock down Kansas City, I would. How did y'all take that? That made me proud that a coach actually said something.
Well, I mean, it was more like it was a drive-by on the officials where a stray bullet caught the Chiefs.
Yeah.
And he was fine with that because he actually tried to ricochet that bullet towards Kansas City.
Really?
He's like, I do want to take a shot at them, but I really want to take a shot at y'all because you drive me insane.
Mike rolled by to see some of his friends. Who in that building back there?
Yeah.
Oh, officiating in Kansas City?
Yeah.
Let me go to the trunk real quick.
Yeah. He made sure that there was enough out there.
Mike pulled up outside the club and say, who in that building?
Yeah.
I didn't realize he could tweet that, but he did. What's more savage, Saban beating Georgia or Vrabel beating the NFL officiating?
Well, I mean, Saban just sat back and I love that a Kansas City fan.
What they say.
Second comment to Coach Vrabel. Is a screenshot of the definition of bleep.
What
Number
letters?
1, a person's posterior. Number 2, a stupid, irritating, or contemptible person. Way to go, Chiefs fan.
Way to go, Chiefs fan. Mike Vrabel out here just taking a shot, man. Last time he tweeted was 18-21.
And then I look at this, and this is part of the problem here. This one guy says the players must make a football move in order for it to be considered a fumble. It literally says in the rule, tucking the ball away is a football move. He didn't take the third step, which negates this entire thread. Third step is one of the examples of a football move, not a requirement. It's a requirement when it's being reviewed. Are you suggesting that when under review, the rules change? That's Twitter right there.
You know Vrabel's on that competition committee now, too. Yeah. This is my only thing is I'm hoping the game still continuously plays out well for the Titans moving forward. Meaning, I hope there is no spite when it comes down to calling Titans games. You know what I'm saying? Like, you calling me out? All right, I got something for you. You know what I'm saying? Like, if we get to a point where some obvious stuff that's happening in the game, now I'm not a conspiracy theorist or anything like that. But when you got power over certain stuff, Jay, some people use it, and I'm hoping that the Titans get a fair shake out of this simply because he was being right. And it's kind of snarky and smart alecky, but Vrabel ain't wrong in what the NFL says a catch fumble is.
One guy replied to, I think this is worth mentioning. He says, if that was in the end zone, that would have been a touchdown 99 out of 100 times.
Yep.
It was a fumble, but poor officiating is nothing new. And then people are saying it's not a fumble. Whatever. I hate that the rules are so murky.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's like, can we just figure it out? Like, dude, we got self-driving cars.
We do.
I've got access to every movie ever made through my television, basically.
Songs.
Yeah, all of it. Like, I can do whatever I want. Right now, I can go grab whatever song I want and play it, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's many things that I can accomplish right now. I can make coffee while I'm asleep by hitting a button on my phone rooms away from the actual coffee maker.
Facts.
And it will be ready for me when I go through. But we don't know what a catch is in the NFL.
That's the catch. Between that fumble and Jesse James catching it against the Patriots.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, don't get me started on that. I appreciate you.
You're right about that one.
Dez Bryant also.
Yeah, Dez caught it. He still caught it to this day. Honestly, Calvin Johnson did too.
Yep. Come on. They never even admit it. That's what's trashy about it. I'm so glad I can tweet about bad officiating now.
Just go after the zebras. Scott Ramsey, president of the Nashville Sports Council, will join us after the break. We'll talk to him about a good decision that was made regarding the Music City Bowl. I think that's going to do pretty well here. We'll talk about that next. It's JMart Ramon, 104.5 The Zone.
Imagine if the first way we did things was the only way we did them, simply because that's the way we've always done it. Yeah, that gets kind of boring. That's what's happened when you're selling your home, too. You list it, and you got to keep it show ready because you never know when somebody's going to drop by for a quick look, or you have dozens of people coming through your house that most of the time they are not serious about it. They just want to see your decor and see how much it sells for. And this goes on and on and on until the right buyer comes along. Well, now that's in it. And it's me, Ramon Foster, and I want to tell you what I did. I went to opendoor.com, and I put in my address and my home info, and I got an offer back in no time. It was no listings, no strangers, no stress. Open Door gives you a real competitive offer in minutes. Just go to opendoor.com/WGFX and get your free offer. Open Door is a new way to sell without all the hassles of a traditional home selling. You know what you're getting, and the best part is you can decide when you want to close. Go to opendoor.com/WGFX and get your free offer today. That's opendoor.com/WGFX. Offer eligibility varies, and Open Door is represented by Open Door Brokerage, Inc. License 02061130 in California, Open Door Brokerage, LLC, and its other markets.
Hey, it's JMart. Next time you're at home, I want you to look around, see if you notice doors and windows sticking, cracks in your bricks, the bowling basement wall, your chimneys leaning, your drywall separating, your concrete's not level. Whew. All those are signs of a possible foundation issue with your home. When it comes to foundation repair, nobody does it better than my pals over at United Structural Systems. They've been right here in our area, in our communities, in your community for over 25 years. A-plus rating with the Better Business Bureau. Integrity's off the charts. Locally owned, like I said, not a franchise, which means they've got some time to customize a solution for you and your family depending on your needs. And the way that they work couldn't be easier. They come out, diagnose a problem, and give you a detail-free estimate. They're going to tell you what has to be done, what it's going to cost you, and then you make the call, but you don't pay anything. There's not like deposits along the way. You don't pay a dime until the work is fully done and you're satisfied. So nothing to lose and a ton to gain for your home. Over 20,000 satisfied customers and counting can tell you this is the call to make. You can feel great about calling United Structural Systems, 615-227-2275. That's 2275 or online at ussTN.com. My pals at United Structural Systems. Welcome back. JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone. When trust matters, count on All Four Seasons Garage Doors in Nashville. A reminder, we're building a field of toys to benefit the Salvation Army's Forgotten Angels. It's tomorrow, the annual Toy Field presented by T-Mobile. Nissan Stadium will all be broadcasting live. 3HL will be at Buffalo Wild Wings in Franklin, but that'll be a secondary drop-off spot. While you're out doing your holiday shopping, remember those in need. Pick up a gift for a senior or a toy. Help us build a field of toys. One of our favorite days of the year, Toy Field. All the info you need, 1045thezone.com. Coming up on December the 30th in the afternoon, you'll hear the game right here on 1045 The Zone, the Music City Bowl.
Music City Bowl.
And the man behind the Nashville Sports Council joining us on the line right now on the Mark Spain Real Estate Hotline, Scott Ramsey. Scott, good morning.
Hey, good morning, guys. How are you?
Doing well. So this one was kind of easy, right? We say light work around these parts. Bringing in Josh Heupel after the year that he's had and the excitement surrounding what could become, really stellar next few years, hopefully for the Tennessee Volunteers. Bringing them to Nashville right now felt like a really good decision, I would say.
Oh yeah, I would agree with that. It's something that we, with Tennessee particularly, we've been very deliberate and intentional about. I think playing too many times in Nashville, but this particular time coming out of COVID, giving the fans a chance to kind of attend the game locally. Really thinking more of a regional kind of travel fan base, and that applies really to Purdue as well, coming out of the Big Ten. Was a real important kind of a mission for us this year on the team and on the matchups. And certainly to your point, Tennessee maybe exceeding expectations for the year. Coach Heupel's first year, exciting offense, really seemed like the right fit. And it'll be the third time we've had Tennessee in our 24-year history. So it's not something that's a regular basis, and we're excited about it. I think especially coming out of last year after the game got canceled at the last minute, to kind of rebound and bring a lot of people to the city and fill up the stadium for the players and really create hopefully a great atmosphere and environment for a few days in Nashville.
Yeah, and the other thing, look, we know what Tennessee's offense can be, but look, Jeff Brom and Purdue, another high-powered offense. They got a Biletnikoff finalist in David Bell. So you've got a bowl game where a lot of points might be scored, where it should be up and down the field, should be an exciting matchup. So on both sides, the Tennessee connection is obvious, but the Purdue connection works really well in this matchup also.
It does, and we had a great experience with them 3 years ago against Auburn. Obviously, they were disappointed in how they played in the game, and looking to improve upon that. But again, I think just sometimes the way the wins and losses and the opportunities for the selection process works out. It was the opportunity to have Purdue back. Their fans are fired up. Their administration and coaches are fired up about coming back down. And again, I felt like if we could get some regional teams. We really could kind of help fill up the city, and obviously the bowl's been an important business initiative between Christmas and New Year's for us as a city, and I think Purdue will help kind of generate a lot of excitement and obviously put a lot of fans in the stands and a lot of fans in the city for a few days. But you're right. I think once we get on the field and to the game, I think we got two high-powered offenses that could really create an exciting bowl game, and just an average fan is going to have fun watching this game. I think be up and down and a lot of plays and hopefully a lot of yards and a lot of points.
So it's a 5-hour drive from where Purdue is to Nashville, and Tennessee's about 2 hours away down the street also. So this should be a good turnout for two programs that really, for the most part, have been feeling like they're underappreciated. The turnout that you guys are expecting, I'm seeing now on Ticketmaster, the tickets are, selling pretty quick, and you have to be excited about that, knowing that you're going to be supported in the stadium also.
Well, again, I tend to look at the game as more as kind of one of our real events that we can really showcase our city, and I think that is the reason we started the game 24 years ago, and continues to be one of our main missions. And I think for a couple reasons. One, a full stadium creates a great playing atmosphere for the players, and that's first and paramount. And I think anytime the players can come play in a NFL stadium, the Titans are playing great, the excitement there, and the fans can come to the city and create a great environment for the players. Full house is a lot better than a partially attended game. So, I think that's great. And then also I think it just creates a lot of atmosphere and excitement in our city for a few days leading into the game. Battle of the Bands the night before. Broadway will be electric. So we're looking forward to it, and I think it'll be one of our more memorable matchups.
Now, as a former player, the thing that was most exciting about bowl season, you know where I'm headed to.
I know where you're going.
You know where I'm headed
Swag.
to.
Swag bags.
You know it, man. And I know it's the Music City, and you guys are right back on track. I'm not saying they're looking for Xboxes or PlayStation 5s, but what can we look forward to if we can get a little sneak peek into the swag bag?
Well, I tell you what, that's a great question, because I would say about 7 or 8 years ago, it really shifted. And from our standpoint, that was probably the hardest thing in the early years to do, because you had to order, and technology was changing so fast, 10, 15 years ago, that it was really hard by the summer to try to figure out what players would really want, and you could order and get it in quantities to have it ready. And by the time you got to the game, it was almost out of date. So I think a lot of bowls, which you've seen now, have kind of gone to gift suites where players can kind of get what they want. And we've gone that, and that was really feedback from the players. We surveyed them. We really went right to the source and said, hey, it's hard to pick out electronic that would be in style that you don't already have. I mean, headphones to phones to, iPads to Xboxes. So now we do the gift suites. The players can do what they want. Some players get Christmas gifts for their family. Some get some toys for themselves. So that's been a great feedback, and we continue to survey the players on that, and they like that. They like to be able to shop, and that's the way we've been going lately.
Scott Ramsey of the Nashville Sports Council, President, CEO, joining us here on JMart and Ramon. Scott, in the era, look, we may have an expanded playoff at some point, and we're going to at some point, but we've come to a spot where, look, you're seeing a lot of opt-outs, and you're seeing so many different bowl games and all this. I'm interested to know, in terms of your selection process, how important now, maybe even compared to where it was 10 or 15 years ago, it is to get a matchup where, look, the teams can travel, their fans can travel, and there's some kind of an interest where this feels like more than an exhibition. It feels like something people would actually want to attend.
Well, I'd like to say that we can control that in the selection process, but we really can't right now. I think we're in a real transitional period from that standpoint. I think, what we're trying to do is do the best we can each year with, the wins and losses still dictate kind of, the pool that you can kind of pick from teams. And, this year I feel like we've just got all those elements lined up. I think the coaching changes this time of year also make it difficult. Not just the head coach, but as Ramon knows, it goes all the way through the staff of uncertainty. So it certainly has changed, the ability to put some matchups together and create some interest. It's certainly something that we look at, we take into account. And some years you have better options than others in that regard from that standpoint. I think more importantly, though, I think it's looking into the future and how do we position Nashville the best we can for whatever the new CFP model and the expansion model is going to be. Is there an opportunity for us to get into that group of bowl games or destinations or however they're going to kind of term it? If not, what's our game look like and how can we best create, to your point, games that matter and to fans and games that matter to players and games that would matter and benefit our city. So, I think we're trying to be ready for that, prepared for that, and react to whenever the commissioners kind of make that determination on what that model looks like in the future.
So, and you can speak to this more specifically, but I've talked to you for years. I remember we talked to you on Squared Circle Radio and said, when is WrestleMania coming to Nashville? Because you think about, obviously Bridgestone and even something like the Ryman Auditorium that could host the Hall of Fame and all these kinds of things. Well, here comes SummerSlam. Like finally WWE is bringing one of those significant events to Nissan Stadium, SEC Media Days. Like there's a lot that is coming. So if you want to speak a little bit larger to where we are in Nashville, you can. But I would also like to know specifically when you're thinking about an expanded playoff, when you're thinking about larger events like that, what is needed in terms of like lodging? I know there have been hotel room requirements, things that need to be available inside of stadiums and all that. Like how close is Nashville on those fronts to getting more consistent large events?
Well, that's a great question. And, I think over the last 10 years that we've really done a great job in creating Nashville as a destination for major events. I think you look at just the past 7 or 8 years, starting Women's Final Four, NHL All-Star Game, NFL Draft. I think our bowl game, from a metric standpoint for us, between average attendance in the high 50s, 5 million viewers, interest in Big Ten, SEC to kind of move us up in the process, speaks volumes for the popularity of Nashville as a destination, as a sports destination. This year, coming out of COVID, I'm not sure we could hit the accelerator any better economically than what we've got lined up. Coming out of the IndyCar Grand Prix event, the new event in the summer in August, that was a great success, and they'll come back. Certainly our bowl games, this is our 24th year. It rolls right into U.S. Figure Skating Olympic Trials and National Championships, which is a one-off event a month before the Beijing Games. It'll pick the team, primetime NBC in January. We've got the Stadium Series with the Preds and Lightning in February. We come back for SEC basketball now through 2035. Our marathon's the second largest full and half in the country, and it'll be back in August or in April in its regular time slot. So, I think, leading into SummerSlam, as you mentioned, this summer, I think for the future, the really only thing that's limiting us from Super Bowls and national championship games and men's Final Four is really a facility, a dome facility that is required for those events in the Mid-South. And, we'll see how that goes. I know everyone would like to get one. There's also a limited number of people probably that can stroke the $1 or $2 billion check to kind of get it done. So, I think that as we look forward to the future of the city as a destination, we'll have to kind of react to facility requirements. But other than that, I think we've really established ourselves as one of the premier, sports destinations in the country.
And that's interesting you bring it up. But as far as, statewide stuff, Memphis men's basketball team is playing UT's real soon. And, as far as, here in Nashville, is there talks about having, a consistent Memphis versus UT series, whether it's basketball, men's, women, football, just that type of atmosphere? Because I feel like Bridgestone is going to be really electric come December 18th when it comes down to these two basketball teams playing each other also.
Yeah, it's always somewhat dicey, I guess is a good word, in putting together regular season games, whether it's basketball, football, because there's just different priorities for schools to move games off campus. This one particularly worked out, and really it was the schools that wanted to do a 3-game series, a home, and a neutral. So you just try to stay in communication really with that. I think one of the things that we're in discussions with Tennessee, if they, do they want to move kind of an orange and white game? Do they want to move kind of a game or a year? We've had some games where they've had 8 or 9 home games and they've moved one here. We had Wyoming. We had, a Bowling Green game. So we've had some early season kickoffs, but regular season's a little different viewpoint from the administration on the respective schools. Now, for us, I think one of the real successes that we've had is to anchor in the SEC basketball tournament. We have the women's tournament this year, but then we have the men's tournament for the next 12. So as far as postseason, that kind of gives us that ability to fill up the arena for 5 or 6 days, bring all the schools here, and certainly in the future with the addition of Texas, Oklahoma, the basketball tournament's going to be more dynamic. So certainly we look at those regular season opportunities, and hopefully you can get some one-off games, but I think the postseason's pretty important to kind of have that anchored in.
We appreciate you, Scott. You guys do a fantastic job. It continues to be a pleasure to work in this city, especially in this industry. We're looking forward to the TransPerfect Music City Bowl. Hopefully we're going to be out there for the game, but it should be a great atmosphere, and congrats on landing Tennessee once again in a year where people really want to watch them play.
Well, I appreciate you guys having me on. Thanks for everything you guys do, and it's just a blessing to kind of be in Nashville and all of us kind of pulling in the same direction. And, I think our city's really benefited from that, especially coming out of last year or 18 months or so with COVID. It's great to kind of see people being able to fill up stadiums and arenas. And we're excited about the game this year. We've got a new sponsor and going to introduce them to the city. And, we're excited about the future of sports in the city.
Thanks, Scott. Have a great week.
You too. See ya.
Indeed. That's Scott Ramsey, President and CEO of the Nashville Sports Council. Tennessee, Purdue. On the 30th of December, 3 p.m. in the afternoon, you'll hear the game right here on 104.5 The Zone, and we may be there.
Yeah, well,
probably gonna be there.
Most likely,
I gotta lean on you.
Yeah, we're gonna make it happen.
Yeah,
we're gonna make it happen simply because Purdue's gonna travel. Everybody wants to come to Nashville. It'll be a couple days before the first. I'm sure some of their fans are going to stay to try to bring in the New Year, too.
Well, there you go.
It's going to be busy here.
Oh, yeah. No question about that. 615-737-1045. 737-1045. We'll look at the college football playoff a little bit when we come back, and we'll continue to talk, obviously, about the football weekend. If you want to jump in and haven't had an opportunity over the last few hours, 615-737-1045. 737-1045. Back in a moment here on The Zone. Hey, are you tired of renting? I want to help you make your dreams of home ownership happen. The loan officers, my good friends at Mortgage Investors Group, are ready today to walk you through all your options and offer the advice that you need to get started. You got to get ahead of the other buyers that want the same house in the same neighborhood, in the same school district, with the same shopping area, all of that. You're all looking in the same stuff. You've all got the same websites. You've all got the same things bookmarked. So how do you get ahead? Well, you get pre-qualified before you start looking. Pre-qualification gives you the bargaining power you need, and it's going to help you close quicker. So if you get pre-qualified, you will get moving. As a first-time home buyer, the first home loan, a lot that goes into it, but you don't have to worry. That daunting task is taken on by Mortgage Investors Group, who will be there for you every single step of the way with 100% financing, possible to take you from renting to owning based on borrower qualification. Mortgage Investors Group committed to helping Tennesseans fulfill their dreams of home ownership. That means your dreams, your family's dreams. Mortgage Investors Group wants to be your home loan lender. If it's time to move, they got you. If it's time to find a better rate, They got you. Go to migonline.com. That's the website, migonline.com. Get the advice. Start that pre-qualification process. You can see where the nearest office is. There's Cool Springs. There's Hendersonville. There's areas right out near me in Brentwood. There's one close. I promise you that. migonline.com or text MIG to 31399. The letters MIG to 31399 to get pre-qualified. With Mortgage Investors Group, Equal Housing Lender, license number 109111. Welcome back, JMart and Ramon. 104.5 is done, finishing off the third hour here at the program. Brandon Staley, Chargers head coach, getting some love this morning for one of the things he said in postgame. Joey Bosa left Sunday's game, evaluated for a concussion, was cleared, but they held him out because he had a history of concussions. And he said, as long as I'm the head coach here, we're going to be making decisions like that in the best interest of our players.
Smart. Real smart.
That's an easy dub right there.
Game got to evolve, and he's going along with it. I like it.
And it's going to – and look, if you hear that and you're a player, you would want to play for that guy.
The job of a coach is to put his players in the best position and at times protect them when need to. He did both of those things yesterday, unlike Kirby Smart. I'm going to get off.
Stetson Bennett, 1 of 10, 2 interceptions when pressured on Saturday. And I saw Emmanuel Acho, after Georgia lost, said Georgia shouldn't be in the playoff and started trying to make arguments for other people. And I just thought to myself, I don't even think Emmanuel Acho believes this.
No.
I could have argued and did argue Saturday that I thought just watching them, Baylor might be better than Cincinnati. Ole Miss might be better than Cincinnati. Cincinnati still deserved it this year because nobody really distinguished themselves and made a case why they should be there. Baylor lost to a bad TCU team. I want to ask you this question, though, Moan. I heard Ari Wasserman on the Andy Staples show Saturday night as they were talking about everything that had happened. And he said he believes that if you play a team twice that you lost to and then you beat them in the rematch, he wipes out the first loss. So Baylor lost to Oklahoma State 24-14 early in October.
Yeah.
But then beat them in the conference championship game. And he said Baylor would have been in his top 4 because he erases that loss. And then they only have a loss to TCU plus a conference championship. How do you feel about that concept that you can wipe out a loss if you avenge it with a win later on?
I don't know if I hold that same standard when it comes down to it. It's just it's harder for the team that won than it is for the team that lost, though, because you feel like you can just walk in and do the same thing over again. I'll say Baylor just simply got better than what, Oklahoma State was at the time. And again, we talk about this early on in the season when it came down to, the Steelers beating the Bills. Like, we knew the Bills are probably the better team, but Pittsburgh beat them that day. And if you look back on that week, you can't take that back. So I view it is what it is. Oklahoma State just got to be on top of their game when seeing them again. Now, again, imagine this. If somebody gets you, if I can come back around and see you again, I've had time to understand why I lost, understand what you did good, and what we did wrong as losers. So if you're smart, you got to heighten yourself up. If you're the team, if you're Oklahoma State, you can't just march in there. You know what I'm saying? And if that's like if A&M played Alabama again. I got a feeling Bama's going to have the ability to know what not to do this time around. I can't erase it, though, because if you got smacked, then just that is what it is.
Well, in this case, I think it was 24-14. It wasn't exactly a blowout.
Right.
I think your point right there is true, that you were able to learn from mistakes at that point in time. So should they hold equal weight? Now, maybe there's a circumstance where your starting quarterback went down in the first quarter of that game, then came back in the rematch. Would you look at it differently depending on certain circumstances?
Then, it's different. Circumstances. Missing key players, getting players back and stuff like that, And then you got to look at the dynamic of, well, is this coach going to leave versus that coach going to leave, especially on the college level. So it's totally different at that point. And again, Baylor, they played a better game. They were the better team. They got more better during the season than what Oklahoma State did. And Oklahoma State wasn't bad.
And during the season, Baylor lost their starting quarterback.
Yeah.
And at times lost their second string and had a third string guy playing. And at the end of the season, when you watched them on Saturday, they were playing really good football. Oklahoma State came within 2 inches of making this a really much more interesting Saturday night and Sunday because once they lost, it was, well, if Michigan and Cincinnati win, once Alabama won, you knew what the four were going to be. You knew Notre Dame was out. You knew Ohio State was out. You knew Baylor was not going to be in because they already had 2 losses. If Oklahoma State had scored on that final play, I would have been interested to see the argument because I didn't think either team put forth a performance in the Big 12 championship game that gave them a wonderful case against an undefeated Cincinnati team.
Yeah, no, it does. And again, they're undefeated. My thing is, when we're looking at paper versus paper here, though, Jay, is this. How do they stack up against Bama for the long haul?
Well, I mean, they're a 13.5-point dog that I think is going to get closer to 17 or 18 probably because the line's going to keep moving until people start betting on Cincinnati. And I look at that, and I'm just like, they might perform well. I know they have a good defense. I just saw Desmond Howard on TV say they have 2 of the best cornerbacks in the country. Right, but who are they playing against? I don't know that they've seen Jamison Williams before. I don't know that they've seen Bryce Young and picking them apart. Like, that becomes the issue. They had the 91st strength of schedule this year and struggled against some of those opponents.
And, again, Bama's got a long time to really, well, they got over 2 weeks to game plan against you. And what do they do in these type of situations? They take the head off first. We'll see what they do against Ritter, man. He's the guy that they got to stop. And they're just good.
They are. They are. This is the game. This is the matchup everybody has wanted. Is one of those teams against an Alabama. So you have that now. If Cincinnati goes and gets crushed, the chances of another one happening until there's an expansion. If there's an expansion, it's going to happen. But while there's still 4, do you get this again? Even if it's not fair, because I've seen Notre Dame get blown out in playoffs. I saw Clemson get boat raced by Ohio State last year. A lot of these college football playoff games, especially the semis, have been laughers. Remember LSU and Oklahoma?
Yeah.
With Jalen Hurts against that Joe Burrow team? That was a disaster.
I mean, and then you got to look at it, too. Who's next up? If Cincinnati, you got Utah.
Well, I mean, you would have Notre Dame.
That's Notre Dame. I'm just speaking in general of like the non like Power 5 like teams or non-traditional teams going up against a powerhouse like Alabama.
Utah
if
is
they get embarrassed.
I mean, Utah's a Pac-12 champion.
They are.
Utah is the classic example of a team that everybody is glad is not in the playoff. That's in the playoff because they're red hot, and they're going to go to the Rose and play. Is it Ohio State?
I think
it's Utah and Ohio State.
Yeah.
That'll be an interesting game. Yeah, the Urban Meyer game. 615-737-1045. Fourth hour of the show is next. What's the state of the AFC? We'll look at all the results, try to determine what's going on there. We can take your phone calls at 737-1045 as well. Fourth hour is next here on The Zone.
Good morning, I'm Will Bowling. After a chaotic college football weekend, our Final Four is set at last. Number 1, Alabama gets number 4, Cincinnati, number 2, Michigan, and number 3, Georgia, the Final Four in college football in 2021. Alabama gets their 6th SEC championship under head coach Nick Saban over the weekend, a 41-24 win over the Georgia Bulldogs. After being an underdog for the first time in 93 games, the Crimson Tide open as a 2-touchdown favorite against Cincinnati in the semifinals. Here in Nashville, the Tennessee Volunteers will get their first bowl game under head coach Josh Heupel in the TransPerfect Music City Bowl, facing the 8-4 Purdue Boilermakers. It's the third time in 12 years that the Vols have played in the Music City Bowl, as they lost to North Carolina in 2010 and beat Nebraska in 2016. It'll be Purdue's first visit to the bowl game since 2018, a 63-14 loss to Auburn. Oklahoma hires its next head coach, officially announcing that Clemson assistant Brent Venables is its new head man last night. Venables spent 10 seasons at Clemson after 13, including a long run as the defensive coordinator for the Sooners. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
What's happening? Fourth hour, hashtag fastest 4 hours in radio is upon you. It's upon us. We're blessed to bring it to you courtesy of All Four Seasons Garage Doors. When trust matters, All Four Seasons Garage Doors in Nashville, professional garage door installation and repair from a locally owned and family-run business. Visit allfourseasonsgarages.com. 11-year NFL veteran involved for life. Ramon Foster's here. I'm Jason Martin. I'm here. Andrew Malone is here. Jonathan Schaefer is out until Friday.
Loafing.
Couple things from the college football weekend. One, can we talk about the fake slide?
Come on.
Kenny Pickett.
Come on.
From Pittsburgh. And I saw Dave Clawson say after the game, I don't think he faked it. If so, he's brilliant. Well, he's brilliant, coach, because I'm telling you, he faked that slide.
Way not to criticize the kid.
Yeah, I mean, he did again, Clawson taking the high road.
Taking the high road.
But let's be honest here. I said it, and then a million other people said it around the exact same time because we all thought the same thing when we saw it. Dude, you can't let this happen.
No.
I also saw Mahomes do it last night when he was going for the first touchdown to walk into the end zone.
Oh, yeah.
He was going on the right side. Mm-hmm. He did the same thing. I'm going out of bounds. I'm going out of bounds. I'm going out of bounds. You can't hit me. No, I'm not diving into the end zone.
Yep, and he did that again in the game, too. He was on the sideline
again. He does it all the time.
Tiptoeing. Kenny Pickett. Patrick Mahomes, other quarterbacks.
Like, what are you going to do? If you start to see somebody initiate a slide and you're a defender, you have to back off because you're about to get a targeting penalty or a 15-yard variety penalty and hurt your team.
And what happens in college whenever they target or hit somebody?
Mm-hmm.
Ejection.
Mm-hmm.
You're out.
Right.
You're out. You're done. And that's a terrible rule. He tried it and did it. Now, maybe he made a quick decision that, look, I can beat this guy on his angle. He had one guy beside him. Once it looked like the safety coming towards Kenny Pickett.
And that's the hard thing is you have to then judge whether or not he tried to fake it or if he made a decision at the last second. Oh, I don't have to slide. I've got an angle here. But if you can prove intent, that should be a penalty on the offense.
When the rubber pellets on that turf started popping up, that was his drag foot to slide. It's a baseball slide is what he was looking to do right there. I'm sure he's been coached about it. Get down, Kenny. He had already – I think he knew he ran enough for the first down. That's when the slide was about to happen. And then he decided to up down. He did a touch and go. Now, one of those on that fake slide moving forward or slide, if a defender comes in and tattoos him because he's a running quarterback at that point too. Until he goes down, he's a running quarterback.
He's not even a running quarterback. He's just a runner.
He's a runner. Yes, he's a runner. Now, if I go hit this runner to make sure that he's down and I get ejected, when he has a history, one time of doing this, am I at fault? Or are you just going to say, hey, let it play on?
Well, the targeting rule's stupid. and
It's
bad anyway.
stupid.
It's way too punitive because, and I've said this before, there's a difference between first-degree murder and, involuntary manslaughter.
Yeah.
Both of them do carry some kind of a penalty. But there's a difference between death row and 3 to 7 years, right?
For sure.
But targeting, regardless of intent, regardless if I was being malicious or you changed your angle as I had, begun the process of the tackle and then my helmet hits yours.
Yeah.
There's got to be some kind of nuance here in the way that this is officiated because you're throwing guys out that didn't mean to do anything in a sport that's played at incredibly high speed, and you're going back and trying to evaluate intent based on replays that are so slow compared to the real life action.
And it was some people I tweeted about it. I think it was I forget who it was that I quote tweeted about it, but when I said that, what I said about Pickett, it was just like, a bunch of people, well, they should have hit him. And I'm thinking to myself, or he didn't attempt to slide. I'm thinking to myself, like, I've been in a situation personally. You know where I'm going with this, the Denver Broncos game. When Peyton, and it was Pittsburgh fans, so I had to play both sides of it. And I had to tell them, like, no, I'm not criticizing Pickett. He got away with one, and that's fine. But you didn't have those same feelings when Peyton was under duress in Denver, and he basically slid. Should have been ruled down, but he hopped up and threw a pass.
Here's the other question based on that. So you said maybe Kenny felt like he had the angle, right?
Yeah.
Maybe Kenny realized the defense was backing off because they thought he was going to slide.
Yeah.
At which point he said, I don't have to slide now. The defense bought it, and then he took off. Even if he didn't mean to fake it in the moment, it turned into a fake because here's what I do if I'm Kenny Pickett and I see somebody coming at me that's not backing off. I slide because I know I'm about to get that penalty.
Yeah.
I'm about to draw a penalty, if not a targeting foul, in the middle of a conference championship game. I'm going to make a business decision there. If you back off, I'm going to keep going.
Yeah.
But if you come at me, I'm going to draw that penalty. It's the same thing as Mahomes. Mahomes will step out of bounds if you're going to hit him. But if he has you fooled enough to where you're sort of on skates trying to be careful, then he's just going to keep tiptoeing that sideline and bail another 3 or 4 yards on you every single time.
Not okay, man, because the quarterback is so protected. And I used to be like, defenders, man, y'all be quiet. Do your job. You know what I'm saying? But now as a spectator, I'm saying that is a huge disadvantage for a defender.
Huge.
Because, again, every time there's a completed pass, I don't know about you or the listeners also, I don't know about y'all, but anytime there's a completed pass and a quarterback get hit on his throwing motion, I think must ever come a penalty. They're so protected now. So there has to be something that goes against them when they're doing stuff like this. That is not okay. That makes the defender job hard. That embarrasses them. Those defenders from Wake Forest, that's embarrassing. And it's not their fault.
What are they supposed to do? Because they're crapped if they do, crapped if they don't.
Yeah. And I'm thinking to myself, like, that's bad. And if it's me the next time, I'm getting a personal foul. I'm sorry. You embarrass me, now I got to do something double time to you. That's how the game goes. So for you running quarterbacks that fake getting down, either designate yourself as a runner or get down in enough time and really get down. Because, dude, you know how spiteful people are, Jay.
Of course.
You embarrass me like that and then run and do the finger roll, the half finger roll that he did in the end zone in the conference championship. I got to have you because you making people think I allowed that to happen. And that ain't how I play football.
Because the rules, again, are there for the offense to take advantage of across football. Points, make it more exciting. And if you look at the NFL rules are set in a way to make games as close as humanly possible for the purposes of gambling and for the other major purpose of being more entertaining, dramatic, and making sure everybody's got a chance as long as humanly possible to keep your eyes tuned to the ads between the games.
And we spoke about a lot of things this morning as far as the importance of one position quarterback. Georgia versus Alabama.
That was the difference.
That was the difference. This game, right, in the NFL, the quarterback staying healthy and in the game. That's the difference. Look at what Dallas was last year as opposed to this year. They are some guys that people want to watch because Dak is back. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're protected. Aaron Rodgers, say what you want to about him. He's protected. It goes like that. And if they're going to pull stunts like this, you got to at least be able to punch them in the mouth every once in a while there and have them not complain. That's just me. And I'm an offensive player saying this. That's not fair to defenders.
No, it's not. And I just look at it, I'm like, if my kid were about to play football, I'd be like, we need to play offense.
For real.
Because there's no win on the other side of the ball.
Offensive players can duck their heads.
Do whatever they want. That's right.
And for the life of me, I'm still confused about what a face mask is offensively versus defensively.
Yeah, because there's so many stiff arms where they grab the face mask, not just do this.
But if a defender swipes an offensive guy face mask, intentional.
Or hits the ear hole.
Yeah.
If you hit the ear hole, that's also a face mask.
This is rare coming from me. But if you are a former defender, still play defense in this world in football, I'm defending you this morning. It's unfair to you guys.
Back in the day in pro wrestling, you can't punch with a closed fist. Well, you shouldn't be able to stiff arm where you actually grab the face mask and curl your fingers inside it. Like, you should have to keep it palm strike. Yep. Hadouken! Like, if it's not that, it's a penalty.
Facts, Jay.
615-737-1045. I see Eric in Atlanta. We'll get to your Titans question on the other side of this break. And then we're going to talk about Mario Cristobal and Manny Diaz and what's happening with Oregon and Miami. Ooh. Because it keeps on. There's more happening by the minute, it seems like. Miami, why would you want to coach there after seeing the way that they're treating Manny Diaz? We'll talk about that when we come back. It's JMart Ramon, 104.5 The Zone. Hey, it's Jim. I want to talk to you about my pal Michael Ramsey and PAI Medical, the help that they've given to thousands of men and women when it comes to their hair loss. PAI, all they do is hair. Nobody does it better. They're not there to try to sell you a bunch of other stuff. They just want to get you to your goal. About 2 months ago, I took a day off. I went and visited PAI. I talked to Michael. I talked to the staff. They showed me what maybe they could even do for me. We had a little bit of hair loss in my family. I was seeing my crown was thinning over the last few years. So I was like, yeah, all right, let's do it. And after meeting them, it was a really easy decision to make. So I went the surgical route, thickened up the crown just a little bit. I'm about a month and a half away from really starting to see the results. I can't wait to see what I'm going to look like in about 9 months, and you'll be able to see it as well. If a surgical procedure is not necessary, how about non-surgical options? They offer the most advanced in the country, laser therapy treatments, PRP, nutrient-rich plasma, whatever it is, and it's all your hair or your blood or something from you that is just going to help add a new facet to your life. And when it comes to cost, affordable payment plans to fit anyone's budget. If you've been thinking about this, you've been looking in the mirror, you haven't been sure about yourself, maybe you looked at some old high school or college photos and said, man, I really wish that I still looked like that. You can. 615-376-6010. 615-376-6010. Talk to Michael Ramsey. Go visit him. Talk to the staff. Let them show you what they can do for you. I promise it'll be a great choice. Or you can visit them online, wegrowhair.com. That's wegrowhair.com. Welcome back, JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone. Cooper Kupp yesterday became the first player in NFL history, at least 100 catches and 10 receiving touchdowns in the first 12 games of an NFL season.
Ooh. Boy, cold.
Mina Kimes said, "There's your 2021 Offensive Player of the Year in the NFL." And he said, and she said, "Colts fans, avert your eyes, meaning it ain't Jonathan Taylor. It's Cooper Kupp."
Is this the first year back off the ACL also?
I think so.
Him and Dak probably up for it. Dak will probably get it. Comeback player.
Yeah, I can see Cooper Kupp winning Offensive Player of the Year and Dak winning Comeback Player of the Year.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Okay. Yeah. I was just thinking about that. He had the ACL last year.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty wild, man. It's going to be interesting to see how they bounce back, if they do bounce back. The Rams, I mean.
Well, I mean, you can't say anything about yesterday other than
they should have.
They beat the brakes off a bad team.
Yeah.
They got themselves right a little bit, but now you want to see them against better competition to see whether or not it's legit or there's still issues there. I do think there are still issues there, even if they were able to right the ship a little bit. There's still a lot of talent on that team, though.
Yeah.
Let's go to Dakota in Springfield up first. Dakota, what's up?
What's up, Dakota?
What's up, guys?
Morning.
Hey, just a thought on the Pittsburgh quarterback's fake slide. So, to me, is one of probably the most heads-up plays that I've ever seen if he meant to do it. But what do you guys think on going forward? Is that going to be kind of the standard for targeting calls now on guys not being able to hold up in case, a guy does pull that? So I think it's kind of putting the defense in handcuffs right now. So I'll hang up.
Yeah.
Let me know what you think.
Sure, Dakota. Look, it is put them in handcuffs.
It is.
And now that you've seen it once, they're going to have to do something about it, because once you see it and it works, other people are going to do it. Just like injuries to stop fast-paced offenses and things like
100%.
that. So Clausen, what I was saying, what Clausen said was, I don't think he did it intentionally. If so, that was brilliant. He did say at the end of that paragraph, he said, NCAA probably should look at it.
Yeah. It's two things. Well, it's a few things. If I can just reel off my quick list, that's something that needs to be changed. That slide, protecting the quarterback too much. Got to do something about that. Have to do something about targeting and ejections. They can't do that. These kids are trying to play. If suspending them from play, not good. Heck, guys do targeting in football and don't get suspended. And the last one is the injury point, the fall injury. You can't have that stop play for that long and continuously get basically a free timeout. Like, it needs to be either an injury timeout, or those kids, or it's mostly in college, they got to be able to sit out the rest of the series or something.
I mean, at least the series.
Yeah.
At least that offensive possession or something where it actually hurts the team for that person to be out.
Yep.
Of course, then you just put a tomato can on the field and have him drop. There's going to be ways around it, but that would be better than – I'd say that would be better than the opposite. Eric in Atlanta. What's going on, Eric?
What's up, Eric?
Yo, what's good, everybody?
Hey.
Morning.
Hey, I got a question, man. I think okay. So is Golden Tate still on the practice squad?
Yes, he is.
All right. So my questions are: do you think he'll be elevated this week, and how do you think him and Julio Jones together will be effective with Ryan Tannehill this week? Just coming up against the Jag. You think those veterans should be able to get this squad back on? And does that put Julio at wide receiver number 1, Golden Tate 2 or 3, and then Westbrook Akina, just kind of wanted y'all opinion on that.
Well, first off, we got to see how Julio is, right?
Yeah, we do.
I mean, he's been out, but he's really been kind of chasing his health for a couple of years, even before he got here.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing. Second thing, I don't know what Golden Tate has right now. I don't know. He's been in a lot of places in the last few years and hadn't done a whole lot. It wouldn't have made sense for him to play last week, obviously, because of the playbook and just trying to get acclimated. I think Vrabel even said as much after the game. But if he's ready, then they'll need him,
yeah.
first off. And if they can put him in there, then they will use him. I don't know if he would be wide receiver 2 or not. I don't know that you're not going to have AJ, but it might still be NWI, and he might be fulfilling the Josh Reynolds role.
And that's where I was going with it. I would almost think that those two guys, man, that Golden Tate has a reputation. Julio has a reputation. A guy that can sneak under the radar, NWI. I mean, his numbers may say wide receiver 1. I think the threat of having Julio, the threat of having a possession guy like Golden Tate also helps out. We're watching, Humphreys right now in Washington.
Mm-hmm.
I think what Golden Tate could do for this offense is what you would want Adam Humphreys have done also last year. I think he can be a slot guy. I think he can make it happen. I think if you're looking at NWI right now, he can stretch the field. He can go across the middle also. Julio is a guy that when you need it, you got to have it. I think if he draw enough flies, everybody else will eat in this offense. And it's been 2 weeks for Golden Tate to get this offense in, to get it going, to find his niche in this offense with Ryan Tannehill. The chemistry of it all to work itself out. And my other thing about Julio is this. How many games has he actually been active this year? And the reason I'm asking that is for this reason. I know when we get older in football, especially in NFL, you take a little bit more time to get back healthy. He hasn't played in a ton of games this year. And just watching what he's done so far and how much time he's had off, I would almost expect if he's not ready to go this week for the rest of the season, then it might actually just be a longer, more drawn-out injury situation, and you might not have him even next year at this point.
Yeah, one thing about Julio is they didn't sign him because they needed him against the Jacksonville Jaguars in Week 14. The reason why they brought him here, you would think, is to win in January.
Mm-hmm.
That's when you need him healthy, is when you're playing against the Patriots and the Bills and all this. And, of course, you didn't have him against New England last week, but I'm just meaning in the playoffs. If there is a question as to whether or not he's ready, you don't play him.
No.
Because you need him more in the weeks to come than you need him against Jacksonville.
His 2021 game log, Week 1, Week 2, Week 3. Week 6, Week 7, and Week 9. He's played 6 games this year.
He's played 6, but remember, there have been times where he hadn't been seen in the second half and things like that, where he's made a couple plays and then you don't see him again in the second half and stuff. You need him in January. Right now, the return on that investment is not there. But your point about him being a threat, if he could just attract some attention, you might have space for some other guys to operate a little bit more.
And that's what you need, considering AJ is still a couple weeks away. You've got injuries just across the board offensively, and you're trying to get back on track. Do I think it could work? Yes. But he's missed 6 games. What are they, 12 weeks in?
13, I guess.
13 in.
Yeah,
he's mixed half of the games and a lot of the reps in those games, too, except for Week 2 in Seattle. Had 128 yards receiving that week. If he's not healthy now, coming off this bye, what is the injury, which we'll never figure out, and also when are you simply just going to get him back? I'm not dogging him, it's just the reality of it. Like, that's a lot of time unless it was some real injury type stuff that we don't know anything about.
I don't think it's unfair to say you shouldn't be confident in his availability week to week at any point. When he was brought here, when we said we didn't think he would be brought here, one of the reasons why was because I was definitely worried about his availability.
Yeah.
I was very worried about his health, looking at what had happened in Atlanta and some of those situations. But there was also the possibility that Atlanta wasn't a great scenario and he didn't want to waste some of the later best years of his career in that spot. But what we've seen so far is, he's banged up. He's played a lot of snaps in his Hall of Fame career.
Mm-hmm.
And so now you have to kind of pick your spots with Julio Jones a little bit. But if you can just get him back healthy, if he didn't play against Jacksonville, it wouldn't bother me nearly as much as he's not in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
He's not playing against the 49ers, who that was a big loss for them yesterday. As they were trending in the right direction. That's a good thing for the Titans because we're getting to the spot where the Niners aren't going to have a lot to play for if they don't turn it around. Right now, they're still in the hunt, though, because in the NFC, if you're 5-7 right now, you might have a wild card spot.
You're in it. and this is the other part too, just a cool little hypothetical conversation piece. Right now, Antonio Brown got some issues in Tampa.
A few.
To his own undoing, whether it was true at the time or not, he's still suspended. Conversations have been had that Bruce Arians is furious about it. Also, when they signed AB was on a real short leash. Now, after this 3 weeks, which AB served 1 this weekend, he got 2 more to go. If they do decide to cut AB, which just said they're holding their information to the breast, close to the breast, are you willing as Titans fans to have a guy like AB here? If he does hit the market, clear waivers, and. Because you need something, especially with AJ and Julio's
I like
health.
what he can do.
You like what he can do.
On the field.
Okay.
I don't think Antonio Brown comes in here with the same attitude playing with Ryan Tannehill that he went into playing with Tom Brady. I fear that you would get an AB more akin to watching Derek Carr. And I'm not saying that Ryan Tannehill was Derek Carr.
Right.
I'm not slighting Tannehill. I am saying that AB loved playing with Roethlisberger for a while. And then he couldn't wait to get out of town, and then he saw the quarterback that he had at the time in Oakland, and he never played for that team. He got out of there and shot the video jumping into the pool and the whole 9.
He was 24 hours away from $40 million guaranteed.
Right. He threw that money out the door because he didn't want to play with Derek Carr, and then he went to New England. You hear a peep from him in those couple of weeks. And then he ends up in Tampa Bay and wins the Super Bowl last year. I think that he's got to like the quarterback a whole lot, or he could be a problem.
Okay.
I think this is Odell. I think it's very similar to that situation. I love what he could potentially do for you on the field.
Yeah.
I just don't know if AB would be content and would not cause a distraction that you don't need when Tom Brady's not your quarterback.
Yeah. And of course, I think they said a little bit of that decision goes into Tom's hand because this is Tom's project as far as AB goes. And it's all speculation, but apparently Bruce Arians is not okay with what happened.
And he didn't like AB anyway.
He had
If you heard about it before he went to Tampa, he said, he's not going to be here. I know his act from Pittsburgh. And then he ended up there because we know who runs the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. TB12, not BA, whatever number you want to put after BA.
SB1. No, SB2, he's 1, too. Yeah. You want to know one of the main reasons AB flipped that switch in Pittsburgh?
You mean the wrong switch?
No, the right switch.
The right switch.
As far as turning into the guy.
Yeah.
Like the guy, it was Bruce Arians. Inadvertently, though, because we had 2 young guys at the time, Emmanuel Sanders out of SMU and Antonio Brown out of Central Michigan. Who is still crushing it to this day, Emmanuel Sanders, became the guy. AB has always had this, man, I'm a dog. Give me an opportunity. He's had to go from school to school.
Sanders was what, number 2 behind Mike Wallace?
Yeah,
and then Wallace moved on, and Sanders elevated, and AB was the other guy.
And he stayed back in Pittsburgh, which was a great business decision for him too. But AB, they walked in a room that day and said, "Man, we got two dogs and 1 bone. Right now, E is eating. AB, you got to sit." And AB sat. And we had conversation after conversation telling AB, "Wait your turn. You're going to be all right." Something happened. AB was in, caught the ball on the helmet. The legend of AB was born. But AB was so ticked off, livid, behind being stepped over because of Emmanuel Sanders. And I don't think it was nothing personal. It's just the
uber
competitiveness of
that,
it.
Right.
But it was BA that pretty much chose E. And truth be told, he may have been right to get E. E came out. Emmanuel Sanders came out savvy. He could run routes and break down veterans, man. And he's still doing it to that day for Buffalo. So with that point, that history of BA and AB is real. And I think, like you said, the calming sense of it all is Tom Brady. If Tom wants him to stay, he's probably going to stay in Tampa. If not, he's going to hit waivers, and Detroit gets to pick him off waivers, and he'll probably retire if that's the case.
Yeah, he's not. I don't see him in a Lions uniform.
I got a friend of mine that retired because he went to a Lions uniform.
Darrington in Nashville. What's up, Darrington?
What's up, Darrington?
What's going on? Savagery, how's it going?
Savagery, what's going on, man?
Man, JMart, you made an interesting point when you said AB and Oak when he was in the Raiders. Does that kind of mean he was kind of right about John Gruden when he kept making the racist comments? Does that mean AD was kind of right about that, maybe?
Oh,
That's an interesting point.
You bring it full circle, Darrington.
Then another thing, too, I got to know some high information that Julio actually had a tear in his hamstring, and he wanted to play through it to prove the point. But that's neither here nor there. I was at the Georgia game Saturday, and I actually went to the Falcons game, too, Sunday. Can I tell you that those Georgia fans, they want Kirby's neck? Like, after Alabama scored so easily.
Yeah.
I mean, look, they want Kirby. And I kind of see what they mean. I don't think Nick Saban has the Bill Belichick effect. And I don't think Kirby has it in him to beat him. So I just want to hear y'all guys taking what y'all thought about.
So what you saying, Darrington, is at an Atlanta Falcons game, they were still talking about Georgia Bulldogs.
Yes.
Wow.
They had no interest really in the Atlanta Falcons. It was more about Tom Brady and what the Georgia Bulldogs did not do. That you can still. That's all the talk was. When in the game, came out the game, and during the game. Like Georgia would have did the same thing. So it was a whole bunch of that. It was just mad crazy. Yeah, guys, I just want to hear y'all say.
Sure, Darren, we appreciate it. Look, we saw it on social media on Saturday night, and we have said if they go lose to Michigan, the talk is going to be fraud. Yeah. And Mark Richt won a lot of games with Matt Stafford and David Green and
the running backs that went to Denver.
Noshawn Moreno and all these guys. They won a lot of football games. But Mark Richt couldn't beat Nick Saban.
So what happened?
He lost his job.
Okay.
Because Georgia couldn't take it anymore.
All right, just checking.
A whole lot of coaches have lost jobs because they're not Nick Saban.
Philip Fulmer.
Yep.
Butch Jones.
Yep.
Derek Dooley.
Yep.
Let's go to Florida. Who was at Florida? Mullen.
Charlie Strong, Dan Mullen. What's his name with the fish? The one that took the shirtless photo with the marlin.
Plenty of them. Let's go to LSU. Ed Ogeron. Miles.
Yep.
Let's go to Auburn. Tuberville.
Yep.
Who's there now? He might lose his job too.
Brian Harsin.
Gus
Malzahn, who won a couple times and stayed there for a little while. Jimbo beat him this year, but Jimbo's another
come on.
The reason why Nick Saban is the Don is because there's only one of them.
Mm-hmm.
The expectation, though, is if you're Georgia, because now when you go back and look at Georgia's schedule, they have 3 wins over the current top 25. Kentucky, Clemson, and Arkansas.
Yep.
Alabama played the SEC West. Came in with 1 loss.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody sang Georgia's praises. And by everybody, I mean all of us sang Georgia's praises. And then it was same as it always was. It was one team has Nick Saban, one team has Bryce Young.
Yeah.
They both got 5 stars all over the field. But when it came down to it, who made the business decision in the national championship game and benched Jalen Hurts?
Mm-hmm.
And who's the guy that rolled with Stetson Bennett, a game manager, after rolling with Fromm over Justin Fields and letting him go to Ohio State and nearly win a championship for the Buckeyes for Ryan Day?
Mm-hmm.
That's why they won his neck, because they all know that they should have won by now.
You know who had the number 1 recruiting class, and those guys are probably playing right now in the class of 2020? Georgia. Where was Georgia in 2019? Pulling it up real quick before we go to break, Jay. Georgia was number 2 in 2019. Those guys are there playing right now. Alabama was number 1, but Georgia also had more 5 stars than Alabama did. They had 5 5-stars, 15 4-stars. Alabama had 3 5-stars and 23 4-stars. They're neck and neck. The standard is what for Kirby?
It's a national championship.
All right.
It has to be.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Getting to the college football playoffs not going to be enough eventually.
One more before break. Who's the number 1 recruiting class according to 24/7 in 2018? And those guys are playing right now.
Georgia.
Yes, sir. It's no excuse for the product.
No.
If I give you a real good filet mignon to go grill, it better not come back a brick.
Kirby Smart is a very good football coach, obviously, and a great recruiter, but he's not Nick Saban. And there's something else that LSU fans are about to find out. Neither is Brian Kelly. We'll be right back. It's JMart Ramon, 104.5 The Zone. Welcome back, JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone. Toy Field tomorrow, presented by T-Mobile. We'll be at Nissan Stadium. Everybody will. 3HL will be at Buffalo Wild Wings in Franklin, but you can drop off toys there, pick up a gift for a senior, pick up a toy, help us build a field of toys. We do it every single year. One of our favorite days of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Toy Field, Nissan Stadium. More info, visit 1045thezone.com. So Manny Diaz has been fired at Miami over the last 10 minutes. First reported by Pete Thamel of Yahoo. Stuart Mandel had said, I guess it would have been late last night, Miami is preparing to throw over $8 million a year at Cristobal. Last I saw was $8.5 million. $9 million to buy him out of Oregon, and another 7 to 8 to buy out Diaz. So we're talking they're willing to throw $17 million just to get it in a position where they can pay Cristobal $100 million. And this is kind of amazing. Until recently, they were just like, well, where's Miami getting all this money from? Until recently, Miami's administration had been unwilling to allocate funds to the athletic department, instead leaving it to cover all expenses on its own. It was always seen as a kind of a poor place in terms of the way it was funded. But the success of Miami's U Health system, which made more than $400 million in profits last year, and promises from big-time boosters and donors to back upgrades at Miami, have changed the school's stance.
Pay them all, Jay. Pay them all, man.
Cristobal deadline midday Monday to accept the job. And this was reported yesterday by Ross Dellinger. If he declines, Manny Diaz will be retained. LOL. So Manny Diaz, assistant, stopped recruiting this morning. Diaz gets fired. If I was him, if I was Diaz, I'd have told him to go jump in a lake.
If
they came back to me, if Cristobal spurned him at the altar.
Is there a chance that is there a chance that he stays at Oregon? Like, is that where we're at?
I don't think so. I mean, I think now that you fired Manny Diaz, then you know what's happening.
But doesn't Oregon have an extension on the table for him allegedly too?
It was $10 million for 85, and he turned it down.
Okay, all right, 10 years. 85.
10 years for 85. Yeah. This also from Ross Dellinger. I just retweeted this. 2021 coaching buyouts. You ready for this?
Come on, man. Let me hear the numbers.
Coach O, $17 million. Dan Mullen, $12 million.
Oh.
Gary Patterson, $12 million. Clay Helton at USC, $10 million. Justin Fuente at Virginia Tech, $8.7 million. And there's a bunch of other names. The total, $94.4 million.
This year. You trying to go be a head coach at a college, Jay?
Man, I wish I could just be mediocre, man. If I could just be mediocre as a college football coach.
You're trying to go be a head coach, Jay? Not only will they pay you to leave somewhere else, but they're going to give you another bag too.
Exactly. They're going to pay you a ton of money to leave.
Yeah.
And then somebody else is going to hire you. It's not like Manny Diaz isn't going to find another job somewhere. He could go be a defensive coordinator somewhere now. Hey, Clemson just has an opening.
Yeah, they do. And I know the NILs always be a conversation piece for all these kids can have that. As long as they have finance classes, money management, life management around this money, give it to them because these coaches are getting it. $17 million for Ed O. Where did he go after that last game? I'm going to Destin. Where did he go? With his girlfriend.
Buy a hotel.
Golly. That's for this year.
This year, $94.4 million in buyouts across, meaning what has been spent to buy out coaches.
And Florida's coach, Dan Mullen?
$12 million.
And you know how much is coming in the first 30 days? $6 million. You want to talk about a good Christmas?
Yeah, he's going to be all right.
And that's Florida taxes where there's no state income. After $6 million, he's probably going to bring in about 4.1, maybe 3.8 cash, Jay.
Monday Night Football.
Huh.
Patriots, Bills in Buffalo. What do you think, Mom?
That's going to be big. Who do we need to win? We need Buffalo to – no. Yeah, need Buffalo to win.
Yeah, Because you already have a tiebreaker over them.
Be who you are, Bills. I know at least in Nashville it's going to be highly rated watching it.
It's going to be – this is as good a game as you can have in Week 13 in an AFC that's wide open. The Bills were kind of the team people were expecting to maybe be the it team if the Chiefs fell off. And here come the Patriots. The East is still potentially running through New England.
Yeah, right now. We'll see. RC, we thought he was wrong the other day. Well, about 2-3 weeks ago, it's like it's going through New England. Lo and behold, here's Kansas City and New England all over again.
So who do you think wins?
I got Buffalo winning.
I don't even know, man.
I'll take Buffalo tonight. It's in Buffalo also. Let's go, Buffalo. I used to hate and love that song at the same time.
2 of the next 3. I think whichever one loses tonight probably wins in 2 weeks. I think they probably will split the games. I don't know who wins it tonight. I really don't. I don't know if the Bills are ready to be the Bills or if they're going to be the Bills that we've seen at other times this year. Yeah. There's been a real Jekyll and Hyde to them. Nobody hotter in the league right now than New England.
Lights are on tonight, man.
Rookie quarterback. McDaniels has coached his tail off this year. So we'll see. Ought to be a good one. We will react to it tomorrow. Buck is back.
Yeah.
Coach Vrabel will speak at 11:45. I wonder if he'll be asked about his tweet last night.
That was beautiful.
Somebody should ask him about it.
That was beautiful.
So that he just doesn't answer and just gives a smirk. And then that'll be all the answer possible. We'll do it again tomorrow. We'll do it live from Toy Field. Hope to see some of you out there with some new toys to help make a Christmas for somebody else. Always better to give than to receive. Looking forward to being at Nissan Stadium for Toy Field tomorrow. For Moan, for Andrew Malone. Podcast this if you missed it. We'll see you tomorrow at 6 a.m. I'm Jason Martin.
And remember, your Twitter fingers and your mic are always hot.